Rashee Rice is a full participant in practice. I repeat, Rashee Rice is a full participant in practice, and he looks fantastic according to reports. Rice is going to cook in 2025.
Let him cook.
We told you about that. We told you about a lot of other things. The fantasy football show, Saquon Barkley, more talk about the chatter regarding I could retire at any moment. Next year, year after, we'll talk more about that. Rashee Rice. We've got J.K. Dobbins potentially visiting with Denver, and what that could mean. We've got Jonnu Smith news, more news. We'll break it all down. The fantasy football show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the fantasyfootballshow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the fantasyfootballshow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Lots of news to go over, ladies and gentlemen. Rashee Rice is the first and foremost thing we need to discuss because the man is a monster. The man is a moon man. The man is a Saturn man, a Jupiter man. He's a graduate from last year that failed to graduate. He got held back a year because of injury. But he's back, and he's going to be, not saying Worthy can't be in a sharing situation, but there's probably no way Rice isn't at least the number one, and he's sharing it. I don't think Worthy's the one and Rice is the two. If Worthy is climbed and is worthy of Mahomes' consideration, it will be equal parts Rice and Worthy. There's no Worthy below or Rice below Worthy. I think at the end of the day, look, this guy didn't have an interior knee injury. There are a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about in the fantasy space regarding injury. And they think like, oh, he had such a bad knee injury, you got to look at it like an ACL. No. An internal knee injury would be an ACL, PCL, some sort of deep meniscus tear. This was an LCL. This was on the outside of the knee, and this ligament is what he tore. There's some hamstring injury, which is no longer even in consideration as being something that could hold him back. So it literally was an exterior LCL injury to his knee. This is not a big deal. This is not some sort of internal. They got to put screws in and cut out a portion of your patellar tendon, put that tendon inside and drill holes and make a space for drill, put screws in there and let the graft heal for 6 months, 5 to 6 months, then start rehabbing it. That's like an ACL tear. ACL is a completely different ballgame. LCL tear is what he had. Not even a big deal. He's already back to full go in practice, according to the Kansas City Star, and he looks phenomenal. This is Mahomes' number one wide receiver. And again, that isn't to say Worthy can't share the role with him, but Rice is for sure in the role, even if he's sharing it. He is going to be like we predicted him to be on this channel, even though we got it wrong. I know we were on our path of being correct on it. Top 5 to 10 wide receiver material. Rice was doing it. He was cooking. Very close to being a top 5 wide receiver. He was there. He was on the plateau. He made it onto the plateau. Then he got injured. And we're back on the train. We're conducting it. You know, there's not even room to get on anymore. This is a train that left the station last year. It got lost in the snow. It's been found. It's back on course. And it's ready to hit the station in 2025, September.
Let him cook.
So you can be on board, you can be off board. I really don't care. You know, we scream from the rooftops. Those that want to join, we let them join. But we don't need anybody to run on the train, jump on the train. If you want a seat on it later, we might have room in the caboose. But I don't know if we're going to let you on later on. Mahomes is going to
Stock on the rise. To Mars.
To Saturn.
Maybe.
To Jupiter.
Mahomes is going to go ballistic this year. And you can say what you want about Mahomes hasn't been good for 2 years. I heard that on the other fantasy channel. They said it over there.
Hello.
They said it over. Stop talking, parrot. They said it over there on the other channel, Smitty.
He saw it on another channel. He's a repeating Roger.
That Mahomes is going to not, he's just the same old guy. He's never going to be the same. He's not a good top 5 quarterback potential guy anymore, Smitty. I heard it on another channel. I don't care what anybody's heard. I don't care what anybody says. Mahomes is going to the moon. Mahomes has never had a better wide receiver room. You could call Tyreek Hill and Kelsey maybe even playing field in the prime, but this wide receiver room is better than just Tyreek Hill. This is Rashee Rice, Worthy. Kelsey's still there. He might be a little lesser version of himself, but he was still a top 5 tight end last year. So a little bit watered down Kelsey, and I think he could have a better year this year than last year, and it might be his last season, but he's dropped some LBs. He's motivated. I think he's not in the honeymoon phase of his situation anymore, so he's going to be a little more focused on football. This is a guy in Kelsey that's still around. So when you consider Kelsey, Rice, and Worthy, this might be the most talented pass-catching room. Throw in Brashard Smith, the converted wide receiver that they drafted at running back in the 2025 NFL Draft just not too long ago. This is one of the most talented, eclectic group of wide receivers and pass catchers, sum total, that this guy's ever had. Mahomes is going to Jupiter. The stock is on the rise. The ADP is ridiculous. In that mother freaking 6th to 7th round territory. You can get a top 1, not top 5. Give Mahomes respect he deserves. Not top 5, top 1 to 5. Mahomes is top 1 to 5 fantasy football upside, and we get him around 6 to 7. Disrespect.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Absolutely disrespected and almost embarrassing. Almost embarrassing. Corey, don't put this out there. Corey, come on, man. Your mom might be watching. Corey, you don't want her to. She's going to be disappointed. What are you doing? Jeez. So Rice going to the moon, for sure. Okay, and we got a little Rice number in here, don't we? Where's my Rice video? Where's my Rashee Rice video? We have it somewhere. We have the Worthy video, but I had a Rashee Rice video a while ago. I don't know where it is. We'll create one for the Chief boys. Mahomes is scoring 40-plus touchdowns easy this year. The question is, how much over 40 is it going to be? This is going to be a remarkable bounce-back year out of not only Mahomes, but Rashee Rice. And Worthy's going to play consistent. Kelsey's going to bounce back. The Chiefs are hungry. Mahomes shaved his head. Mahomes is angry. He's got rid of the dad bod. He's in full, Gronk mode. He's been lifting like a machine. Mahomes is more fit than he's ever been. Those things tell you something. He's hungry. He knows something needed to change. It wasn't a cakewalk because they didn't win it. And he's mad at himself for not putting in more work. He's doing it now. Mahomes is hungry. He even said so. He said when you lose that type of situation, it slips through your grasp. You could have a three-peat and you don't have it. You don't have it anymore. You got to start over. He says it sticks with you. And Mahomes said he's never been more motivated. So Rice to the mother freaking moon, to the absolute height of space that we could see. You know, we can't even. What's that telescope we got? The one that can see further than ever before. And I just want to say thank you to, who was it? Was it Corey? Corey, was it Corey? Yeah, Corey's comment. You guys, we owe Corey our thanks. What are we doing getting mad at him over this comment? This is the kind of comment that helps us keep Mahomes at bay in round 6, 7. Corey, this one's for you, pal.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
Corey. Yeah, this is for the Coreys and the people that don't know ball the same way we do. And we got to give them credit and be appreciative of the Coreys. We need Coreys. Without Coreys, we can't do what we do, which is cook.
Let him cook.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Corey. Not the Hubble telescope. The Hubble telescope's old news, bro. The Hubble telescope. My iPhone's better than the Hubble telescope these days. What's the new telescope called? The one that it can see into other galaxies. It's crazy. What's that one called? Somebody dropped the name of it. Actually, we got Krug. What do I do? What am I doing here? That's Kruger. Kruger knows. Hey, Kruger, what is the name of the new telescope that can see into other galaxies? The one that's way better than the Hubble. Hey, Kruger, what is the name of the telescope that's way better than the Hubble? The one that everybody's talking about that can see into distant galaxies?
You're probably thinking of the telescope.
Wait, whoa. You cut yourself off. What is the name of it? The Webb?
Yeah, it's the James Webb Space Telescope. It's a huge leap forward from the Hubble, especially for seeing distant galaxies and capturing incredibly detailed images.
Is it possible that it could see JD5 out in the distant galaxy very clearly? Or, like, what's he doing on Mars right now? What's JD5? What is Harvey? What is Hendy? What is Mahomes and the boys doing over on I think Jupiter? I think they're over on Jupiter. Can the Webb telescope see what they're doing?
Love the idea. If JD5, Harvey, Hendy, Mahomes, and the boys were chilling on Mars or Jupiter, the James Webb Space Telescope wouldn't be able to catch them in action. It's designed for observing galaxies, stars, and
that doesn't help me, Kruger. Then I wanted something that could see what kind of moves JD5's doing, what kind of reps he's doing on the Jupiter landing pad, because there's no place to land on Jupiter. It's a gas planet. All right. Anyway, back on point here. Rice going to the moon. Mahomes going to the moon. Absolute crushed it. We crushed it last year until he got hurt. We were on our way to top 5 numbers out of Rashee Rice, which that impacted Mahomes and the Mahomes prediction. And let the haters hate, bro. We need a certain amount of Corys and people that are going to doubt this thing, or we won't continue to relish in the glory that is Mahomes in round 6 and 7, which is Rashee Rice. Maybe with the new case that dropped, the new legal case, the legal pending case, that might trigger some sort of fear factor reaction from people where Rice drops to round 4, like 4.1, 4.2. Grandma leagues, Rice will go in 4. Worthy could go in 4 or 5. There is a world where you could in best ball get Rice and Worthy and Mahomes together, but right now it looks like it's a 3 and a 4 pick for the 2 receivers, and Mahomes in 6-7. Whereas we can maybe hope for Rice to fall and Worthy and Rice linger in the 4-5, but it's hard to say how that's going to shape up. Calvin Ridley, Cam Ward said Calvin Ridley's a top 5 wide receiver. Take this with a grain of salt. I am getting a little bit more excited about what Ridley's going to do because Cam Ward's starting to look really, really good. Cam Ward looks polished. Cam Ward looks like the guy. Not saying he's top 5, but he's looking like a top 10 quarterback. Cam Ward's looking every bit as advanced as, let's call it, a Bo Nix rookie season. What we expected out of. That's kind of what Cam Ward's looking like right now. And I think it's probably going to play out to that degree as well. Like, we'll be talking about Cam Ward being a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 quarterback. The reason I give such a big range is because there's so many good quarterbacks right in that region. There's Dak, there's Kyler, there's fantasy football capable scoring quarterbacks, whether you like them in the playoffs in the NFL or not. This is not your NFL show, although it really is an NFL news show on top of fantasy. But we are examining this from a lens of fantasy football when we're talking about that specific type of conversation. And Cam Ward's going to be right in the mix with those guys walking in the next year. Cam's going to look really good. But the reason I say take it with a grain of salt is Ridley. This Cam Ward's saying everything positive. He said Tony Pollard's a top 5 running back. He says these things just to pump up his guys. So it's hard to really know what he's feeling truly about Ridley or what Ridley's fully capable of. Top 5 wide receiver numbers is absolutely asinine. He's not doing that. But could he be a top 20 wide receiver this year under the tutelage of everything going on there in Tennessee? Maybe. And he's going to be trying to help get Cam Ward up to speed at the NFL level too. He's going to have a lot of veteran leadership qualities he can bring to the table, but Ward's going to bring some of his qualities that really hasn't really been able to dance with. And so Ridley's going to have some good looks that are coming his way in a situation where this team's probably playing from behind a lot. So Ridley could actually have a pretty good year. And I think maybe Ridley's going to get more respect from me going forward. And I admit that I've been kind of undervaluing him just because I haven't really known what the pecking order is going to be like. How much do they value Ridley? What's it all look like? But Ridley's going to start becoming a pretty decent pick. It just depends on how high he climbs as to where I'm in or out. But this is going to be a pretty decent year potentially for Ridley. So we're going to have to keep Ridley on the radar now moving forward, just because Cam Ward looks really, really good. He truly does. I like this piece of news here. Keaton Mitchell was kind of like a little bit of an Achane 2.0. Not as good as Achane, but I don't know. Like his season, if we go back and look at his rookie year, let me go. Keaton Mitchell, rookie game log. Let's find these stats, because it's actually crazy when you pull up his stats and you forget how good he looked as a rookie. It was incredible. It was a short little stint of production. Very, very short stint of production. Let me put his game log up. Here's his receiving and rushing totals. And then he tore his ACL. So keep in mind why there wasn't a lot of great explosion all year long. It was just a very short run. But if you look at this bottom line before he got, so he got injured in, was it December? So he had 138 and 1 touchdown. That's 15.3 yards per carry on 9 carries. Then he had 3 carries that week here against the Cleveland Browns, right on this row right here. 34 and a touchdown. 33 yards, 64 yards. He did have 25 receiving, 54 yards, 73 yards. It was really that explosive 9 for 138 game. But this guy looked the part. He started to really, really come into his own. Wasn't getting double-digit carries. As you can see in this column right here, not a single game with more than 9 carries. But he's averaging 8, 6, 7, 4, 11, 15 yards per carry. And his total yards per carry was 8.4. Remember when we talked about 7.8 being Achane, the leader in NFL history in yards per carry? 7.8 yards per carry Achane had in the season, with a qualifying carry amount that got him into that mix. Some people will do a different qualifier. You have to have 200 carries, 100 carries. It depends on what the qualifier is, but the general rule of thumb, use 100, use 100, whatever. Mitchell had 47 carries. So if you're not using a number around 100, Mitchell was, using the 47 yards per, or 47 carries, probably one of the top 5, if not number 1 in yards per carry, with that 10, or what was it? It was, what did I say it was? 8.4. He was on his way to being in that ballpark of best yards per carry on a 100 carry season towards ACL. And it didn't really get back to form last year. We thought maybe he could. He didn't. He got injured late in the year, obviously, so he just wasn't ready in time, so he never got brought along. But Katon Mitchell's explosive. He's exciting. And Derrick Henry's walking into a very questionable year. As much as everybody wants to say King Henry will never relinquish the king role and be elusive until 45 years old, it's going to happen. And this kid is explosive. And the news, I haven't even read the news yet. The news says that Katon Mitchell said he feels better than when I first got here. And I believe him now. I wouldn't believe him last year, because no running back is 100% until the next year after that first year coming back. They always say, I'm 100%, and then they always admit, I'm not 100%. I wasn't. Now I am. Katon Mitchell is really a season in between. So I feel pretty good that he could be 100%. And he is, how old is he? Katon Mitchell is 23? Yeah. 23, just turned 23, injured himself, not actually at the age of 23. So, whenever you injure yourself in the 24 and under age range, and he was clearly in his 21, 22 territory, it's a non-factor. You can get back to 100%. You can get, it's not even 90% or 95%. You can get back to 100%. We have Arian Foster tearing an ACL, Priest Holmes tearing an ACL, Jamal Lewis tearing an ACL, Adrian Peterson tearing an ACL. We have Jamal Charles. We have countless examples of the most elite seasons we've ever seen from fantasy football running backs that have done it after a torn ACL, especially with a young ACL injury. Adrian Peterson's like an older ACL tear example of success, but Katon Mitchell was clearly under that mark, given that he's only 23 years old. He's also kind of a nice little dynasty prospect, because what if something happens to Derrick Henry? There's no guarantee that Katon Mitchell gets the starting role or anything, but he should be their A-champ. And he's exciting, and I just hope he gets a shot. There's a chance they screw this up, I suppose. But I'm feeling pretty good about the news surrounding Katon Mitchell's return, and he is a sleeping giant rags to riches player. That could be, if you wanted me to identify the early on waiver wire pickup of the year, he would certainly be in a handful of running backs that I could toss out to you and say, probably not owned in a lot of formats at all, but he's somebody that could be the running back everyone's racing to get. If Derrick Henry got injured in week 1, tore his ACL, knock on wood, don't want that to happen to the man. But if it did happen, or he got abducted safely by aliens, let's say, and so Keaton Mitchell gets in there, and all of a sudden he's doing Achane things. And he was doing Achane things. He was averaging 8 yards per carry, and on 40-plus carries, he was a monster. So I like what I see. Kyle Williams looking very speedy and very quick in practice. There's footage of him racing around the field. Love what Kyle Williams is doing. Looks really good. Very nice sleeper wide receiver. Very nice sleeper wide receiver in redraft and best ball as your wide receiver 3 rotation. If you've got, let's say, Kyle Williams and a couple other Kyle Williams-esque wide receivers that you're rotating as your wide receiver 3, it's not the craziest approach. I really like the kid a lot. J.K. Dobbins, love that everybody's getting all hyped up and frantic about, Harvey, given that J.K. is visiting with the Broncos or visited with the Broncos. Even if he gets offered a deal, he's not taking Harvey's job. He's not. He's going to be fighting to get carries with Estime. And my estimation is that Estime probably fends him off because of his knowledge of the offense. Now, JK's becoming sort of a veteran, so he could pick things up pretty quickly, I imagine. And he's certainly a good cuff if he was to climb into the running back 2 role. But this is beautiful. If it scares people away from Harvey drafting and consuming Harvey shares, I'm all about it. This is something. I'm not scared of this at all. This doesn't worry me. This gets me excited if people are going to get all upset over this. It sounds like the world's panicking over Harvey shares. J.K. Dobbins is, let me just make this point abundantly clear. We have never, ever, ever in the history of the NFL had a running back, not a basketball player, Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant, or a quarterback, or a running back has never been a top 10 running back or returned to top 10 running back numbers after an Achilles tendon tear. Ever. We've never had a top 10 running back. I'm not saying it won't happen with the advancements of medicine, but we're not there yet. And he's not going to be likely doing that unless injuries strike and he's on the right team in the right time, which could happen. Let's say Harvey gets abducted by aliens. Let's say the spacecraft comes down and picks Harvey up as well. Who picked up the other guy? Henry got picked up first by the aliens. Then they make a trip over to Colorado. They pick up Harvey. Harvey and Hendy are just, they're healthy. They're fine. They're partying on a space vessel that's headed toward Jupiter. And J.K. Dobbins gets inserted into the lineup. Could he become the first running back in the history of the NFL, the history to be a top 10 running back after an Achilles tear? Maybe, but let's start with the top 15 running back. Can he even be a top 15 running back? Harvey has thighs bigger than this man's aspirations. Harvey has thighs, they're like Saquon, Barkley thighs. He ain't putting up with none of this. Harvey's coming for everybody. You can get on the train or not. I really don't care. And J.K. Dobbins doesn't do nothing for that. Okay, so let's go over to the Jonnu Smith news. ESPN's reporting that the Dolphins want to retain Jonnu Smith. They have no interest. And why does everyone say Saquon Barkley? Like, why does it never fail that somebody thinks an Achilles injury is an ACL tear? I don't know. What are you talking about, Buckeye? Saquon Barkley. You didn't even spell it right, but Saquon Barkley didn't have an Achilles tear. Let me repeat this for you. Nobody has, I'll repeat it for you. Nobody has ever torn an Achilles tendon and become or returned to top 10 running back numbers. I don't know why we have to explain that 10 times to people every time we talk about it. But there was one. No, there's not. There's not. What about Adrian Peterson? What about him? He didn't tear his Achilles. He tore his ACL. Right here, according to ESPN, Dolphins want to retain Jonnu Smith, but I don't know that Jonnu Smith is like, even if they wanted to trade him, they wouldn't tell anybody. They're posturing if they're trying to trade him. I don't think they are. This is, look, Tua Tagovailoa, you got him totally tied to Mike McDaniel. And the success of Tua this year is going to be tied to Mike McDaniel's future. Do you think Mike McDaniel, another team, could make a move and Mike could be pissed off about it? And they could go over his head and just say, I don't care what you think, Mike. And then Mike's like, damn it, I need Jonnu to save my job. Like, that scenario we can't control, but it's probably not a likely scenario. So I don't think they have interest in trade. I think this is true. This is probably more true than posturing to get a better deal. Why would they trade a guy that Tua relies on and it's going to make Tua the best version of Tua? You know, you could literally say, let's trade Jonnu for, you know, a guy that's ranked higher than Jonnu. They wouldn't do it because of the rapport and the way Tua connects with Jonnu Smith. This is not somebody you want to take off the roster if you're interested in having a successful season, which I think the Dolphins are. I don't think any of the brass or the suits upstairs are literally going, let's tank this year. And I think they truly believe they can win. Whether you believe it or not, whether I believe it or not, whether they can actually win in a very tough division and even tougher conference, they think they can win. They're not going to get rid of Jonnu, so I fully don't anticipate him getting traded. But stranger things have happened in this world that we call the NFL and fantasy football especially. But DeAndre Swift is putting in the work to be physically ready to handle a heavier workload in 2025, given the Ben Johnson likelihood of giving this man some sort of version of a Jahmyr Gibbs workload divide. Now, is the megawatt offload and the flux capacitor component structures going to have it in the cards for Swift to deliver some sort of resemblance of what Gibbs can produce? I'm going to go ahead and say,
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
now, did Swift impress last year? He certainly did. You know, he certainly had a pretty solid, you know, year. There's no doubt about that. And he stayed healthy, relatively healthy. There's a world where he probably, you know, has a shot at being a very, very successful fantasy football value in 2025. But there's also a world where this all comes crumbling down because he is very injury prone. He's going to be thrown to the wolves in terms of volume. And I've always liked him, but I didn't like him last year because I didn't think he'd stay healthy, and I didn't love his situation at all because it's Shane Waldron, it's Eberflus, it's the Bears, it's Ryan Poles. It's just a bunch of bad decision makers. They've since moved on. Ben Johnson's now there. Poles is still there, but Ben Johnson's in control of the day-to-day, you know, offensive, you know, team-related situations. So it's different. Like, Poles can only do so much damage. I think Swift is a pretty decent bet, I guess, if you're wanting to take a stab at someone that has upside but a lot of risk. But I would not put all my eggs in one basket whatsoever when it comes to DeAndre Swift at all. I think that there's more that can go wrong that can go right. But is there a shot that he's pretty productive for a string of games for 2 months, for 1 month? I don't think 17 weeks of DeAndre Swift in Gibbs' role, or even if it was Monty's role and we're surprised at how they deploy him, he's not probably staying healthy on the amount of volume that Gibbs was getting. So we'll see. I think it's, you know, it's an intriguing proposition in maybe a few best ball drafts. Would I take a gamble on Swift when, you know, players I usually you see me draft are on the board? I mean, we could throw out what's Swift's ADP. Let's find what his ADP is, and I'll tell you whether I would draft him around the players that we're talking about. So, pulling up Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty.
Attention, Underdog alert!
Underdog just dropped their. Let me move to that. Okay, so looking at Underdog Fantasy, up to $1,000 bonus credit match on your first deposit at 50%. So you deposit $500, they'll match you at $1,000, or they'll match you at $250. You deposit $1,000, they'll give you $500. They'll give you 50% credit match, bonus credit match in your account up to $1,000 at a 50% clip. So you drop $2,000, they'll give you $1,000. So $1,000 is the max. If you drop $500, they give you $250. You drop the $10 minimum, they'll give you $5. So make sure you check out Underdog. We'll be drafting potentially tonight. I'll let you know on that one. But if we go down and we look at DeAndre Swift, his ADP is 80 overall. Who's below him? Scattaboo, Jordan Mason, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones. Who's right above him? Caleb Johnson, Judkins, Monty, Hendy. I mean, clearly those players above him, Judkins, Hendy, Monty, especially Hendy, I'm drafting 10 times out of 10 over Swift. And there are a couple running backs below, like even Charbonnet, Tootin, ETM, Bigsby. You know, you got to decide what you're doing with that. Trey Benson. Those are all guys you would consider, but, you know, Swift is probably where he needs to be ADP-wise amongst the running backs. But then we got to look at 80 overall, what wide receivers and quarterbacks go 80 overall. So if we go to the wide receivers and we say, do we just go in a different direction? You got potentially a Egbuka, Luther Burden, Higgins, Pittman, Cooper Kupp, Josh Downs, Mooney. Mooney's probably safer than Swift in some degree in PPR, but you know, you can make a case that he's not that oddly placed. That's a decent place in best ball to bank on Swift if you want to. Just don't do a whole bunch of it. I don't believe in the Chicago Bears. You know, I like Ben Johnson, but it's not just going to be an easy thing. Here's the J.K. Dobbins news. J.K. Dobbins, more of this news. Dobbins is headed to Denver tonight. This is a previous thing. It was posted earlier in the morning. We'll see what happens with that again. I'll put that over here. We've talked about that enough. Look at this. This looks nice. Pickens adjusting this number to number 3. I like it. I like it. It's a new look, a new vibe. What did I tell you about Pickens? Pickens' diva mentality has been put on pause. I don't think it'll be more than a year to a year and a half, probably more like 12 months, that he's going to hit the pause button on his diva mentality and mindset, his selfish, you know, me, give me the ball. He's very, very excited. He's very happy where he is. And just like Debo getting reset in Washington, Debo could have busted. I say this over and over and over. Debo would have probably busted in 2025 had he stayed in San Francisco. It's a vibe thing. It's a total mentality, a wellness type of thing. And Debo's excited. He's playing with JD5. He's playing with Kingsbury. He's playing for Adam Peters again. And the same thing here with Pickens. He was a diva, didn't have a quarterback. Watch DK Metcalf come over, take his bag, take his girl, take his position, take everything. And he wanted out. And we knew he wanted out. We knew he'd get traded. We said he would. He did. And Pickens probably doesn't necessarily want a contract now. He wants to prove it. And I think he'll prove it. I think he's so happy he's going to have a baller year. Dak's going to the mother freaking moon. The whole Dak attack stack. Do it live. One of the cheapest, fun ways to build a best ball team on Underdog.
Attention, underdog alert.
Underdog just dropped their playoff
basketball
I gotta
promo
remember
with
that
the-
I switched that video. I keep pressing that damn video. Let me switch it now. Underdog is again, promo code Smitty. Drop it like it's hot. Do it live right now. But on Underdog, you can draft Pickens in like the 6th, round, something like that. You draft Dak Prescott in the double-digit rounds, almost 9, 10, 11. You draft CeeDee Lamb at round 1. And what that means for you is that you're going to get a stack that is so cheap and leaves you 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even 5th round players to surround it with and package with it. You're not risking anything when your stack is spread out across a draft like that without high draft capital picks, other than the pick that is CeeDee Lamb at 3, 4, 5 overall. So it's one of the most fun stacks you can draft in best ball. And honestly, I'm not a big stack guy in redraft. I think it's more of a detriment than anything else, and people are wild to think anything different. But with that offense, with a Bengal offense, with a Dallas Cowboy offense, with a KC offense, it's okay to have 2 players from the same team because of the ability those offenses have to explode. But it's safer to do it at the cost of, in the Dallas Cowboy case, Dak is really late, Pickens is really late, and only one player, Lamb, is going early. So you're surrounding it with glory in 2nd, 3rd round players. Shedeur Sanders looking elite. I totally feel like he could win this job at week 1. They're saying he can't. There's a lot of beat writers that said there's no way they're giving one of the rookies a start because they have to let the other guys fail and ahead of them. I don't know. I think the city's going to rally around this kid. He's done nothing but show up. The day he was drafted, all of the stuff in the past, you can blame it on him, his dad, You could say he wears these gold legendary chains. He says legendary. He's been humble about the process. Not saying he's humble in every aspect of his life, but he's been humble about his place on the team and how it all went down since he was drafted. And everybody running their mouth on Shedeur, you're going to look silly because he's the best quarterback on the roster. And he's the savior of this organization to put the Deshaun Watson situation to bed finally. And if he rises up like a phoenix and becomes this team starter, the whole team, the league, the city, the state, they'll all forgive the Browns for the worst trade and worst contract in conjunction or separately that's ever been given to a player in the NFL. They'll forgive and forget. Everybody will. Just like the Niners botched Trey Lance, ran him into the ground as Kyle Shanahan would run halfback plunges with him and totally ruined Trey Lance's ability to do what he was supposed to do. He was benched after he did really well his rookie year in a game that had playoff implications. Blame Kyle for 80% of it. You can call Trey Lance a bust all you want. Kyle busted on him. Kyle, pause. Kyle busted when it was regarding Trey Lance. But this is one of those situations where I think the Browns are looking like the Niners got Purdy to erase the memory of Trey Lance in that debacle. This would do the same thing. This would do the same damn thing. All right. So Shedeur Sanders looking elite, doing it live.
Let him cook.
And then then we got the new emoji. Can I see the new emoji in the building, please? Can I see the new emoji? Drop it like it's hot. Do it live. Let it rain Hunter emojis for at least the next minute, please. The next minute, I want nothing but Hunter emojis. Drop the emoji. It's in the building. It's in the building. And then, of course, we've talked about this before. I mean, it's looking elite in practice. Yeah, keep joking, Joel. Keep trying to double down on your anti Shedeur Sanders takes. You know, it's just I know you want badly for him to fail. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're in a lot of people's company. There's so many people that hate this kid. They want him to fail. They're doubling down on everything they've ever said about Shedeur. So it's fine. I understand it, and it's actually very helpful. Thank you for piling it on because it makes Shedeur free in Superflex leagues. Shedeur is one of the more crafty Superflex best ball draft picks at the tail end of a draft because people think he's not going to get in there. That's fine. That is fine. Keep dropping them Hunter emojis. Doing it live. Bounty Hunter. I love it. Bounty. We might need to make a video about Bounty Hunter. He's the bounty. Where's the bounty? What's the bounty at? Is it on defense? Is the bounty on offense? Hunter will find it and sniff out that bounty no matter what side of the ball it's on. That's what we might have. Saquon Barkley, as I talked about on a whole nother video for an hour plus, Barkley said that retirement his NFL retirement would come out of nowhere. The funniest part about people wanting to push back on this, they own Barkley. And let me first say that you don't get rid of him unless you're getting good value or you just let the wheels fall off and win as many chips as you can get. If you've got Barkley and you can't get rid of him in a dynasty, start making sure you're not rebuilding because you're not going to be able to get rid of him. It's very, very tough. It takes a very, very good team that can win now. I would buy him if I could win now. If I'm in a position to win now, I would go get Saquon Barkley because I feel like you could still get him at a discount, even though no one's going to give him up for free. There are people that would gladly give him up for a late first rounder, I think, in some cases. I'm not saying every team should even do that if you're in win now mode, but if a team is in rebuild mode, they can't help it. Trading away Barkley for a late first round pick and just hoping it's an early first round pick because of injuries is something someone might strongly consider. So if you can't get rid of that, you keep him. But here's what I'm going to say. For the people that want to act like Barkley is going to play forever, or they own him in Dynasty, they can't get rid of him, they've even tried. This is kind of like the tush push. People try the tush push, and when they couldn't do it, then they want to ban it. They actually tried. If they could do it well, they would have been one of the people saying keep it. But they tried it, they couldn't do it, so now they want to ban it. People that have tried to trade Barkley and can't now are saying Barkley's going to live forever. He found the fountain of youth. He's Derrick Henry. He's just going to be another Derrick Henry. He's going to play to 33. He's not going to retire in a year. the thing that's weird about that take is that, number one, he's got a huge injury history. Henry doesn't. Henry doesn't get hurt. Okay, Barkley has missed significant time and is very injury prone. And you could say he shook that label free. I don't know that you can say that after the short amount of time that he stayed healthy. Barkley took on 430 carries last year. 430 plus carries, 470 plus touches. The injury risk is sitting there, and it's not going to go away. It is a huge injury risk. 371 carries is the curse of the RB. He had 430 carries, Barkley. So this is a totally different situation. Barkley 430. This is the number that not only has bad seasons follow for RBs, but it breaks them and they never return to form. This is not a season ender the following season. It's a career ender. When someone has 130 or 371 carries, not always, it's been a curse that's been broken. Just like the Madden cover, which Saquon's also on this year. The Madden cover's been broken to a degree, but we still worry about it, mainly because the NFL or the Madden team, they pick a player that has had an astronomically good year, which is usually in line for regression, which is why that trend seems to be the case. And when they pick somebody that had an astronomically high year, it's a reminder that they are a likely case to have a regression season. But with his injury history, Saquon Barkley, with the 371 carry curse being blasted past with 430, there's so much concern here. And when he says this, I'll probably be one of those guys, this is a quote, that will be out of nowhere. I'll probably just wake up one day, whether it's next year or 2 years or 4 years, and be like, yeah, it's over. Barkley, 28, said during a podcast appearance. But he said regardless, it's going to be shocking. So anybody that says, oh, he'll be fine, he'll play 3 years, they always say that. You're the one he's going to shock, because he's telling you. He's telling you, I know you want to tell me what you think, Hopeful Hogan. But Hopeful Hogan, forgive me if I believe him versus your hopeful statement. And I know that other players like Tyreek Hill have said, I'm going to retire at 30, and they don't. Saquon very much fits the bill personality-wise for a calm, collective, take care of my body. I've accomplished a lot. And in the case of Barkley, he's done everything in the right order. He's climbed up, had brutal injuries, recovered, put through the work, knows he's probably not wanting to do any of that again. If he got injured, he might just say, I'm done. But that climb up and then to get into the position he was in to win a Super Bowl, he's done it in such a good order of things that it makes sense that if he felt like his body was getting, it was taking a toll with all the injuries he's had at the running back position, that he could walk away like that. He wouldn't say it if there wasn't a thought in his mind that I could walk away next year. He wouldn't say it. So the fact that he has, maybe if we're lucky, at 28 years old, he'll be lucky to have one more elite season anyway. And you mix in the fact that he could retire in 1 or 2 years, you got to panic in Dynasty. You have to panic in Dynasty. It's just something you've got to accept if you own him. There's no way around it.
Alert. Panic mode initiated.
You can get mad all you want. You can say Barkley's different, he's built different. He is built different, but he also has a huge injury risk. You can say Barkley's got the best offensive line. Sure, but they've also lost their offensive coordinator, which had this team playing badly the last time the year following the loss of the offensive coordinator. There's a lot of reasons to have concerns and not say it makes you a moron for questioning it. What I will say here, and listen to me now, because any of you creative Calebs think you're going to come back in here in week 5 and say, told you so, Smitty. He's going to ball in week 1. He has not shown signs of being Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, I sounded the alarm on coming off of that Super Bowl non-usage performance where they said they forgot to use him. And I watched film. I watched everything. I kept seeing the progressively bad play. He was losing his step. And I came out swinging at the end of that Super Bowl non-performance out of Todd Gurley, and I said Todd Gurley's done, and the whole world was shocked. They had about running back 1. Every pundit out there, every fantasy football analyst said running back 1. Gurley's the running back 1. Don't worry about the not being played in the Super Bowl. He's fine. We're being told by the Rams that he's fine. He wasn't fine, and I knew he wasn't fine. We saw the drop off. This is the only channel, and this is the very first year, I believe, that I have my channel. I broke the iPad, and I said, no Todd Gurley, no Todd Gurley. And you guys remember that? I'll find the video. It's a good video. But this is not that situation. Barkley, the last time we've seen Barkley wasn't like the last time we had seen Todd Gurley. Barkley's balling. So Barkley in month 1 is going to explode. Barkley in month 2 might explode. Barkley could be like Mixon, be the best running back in the National Football League and in fantasy football through 12 weeks, 11 weeks, 13 weeks, 10 weeks, 9 weeks. But the risk of him at some point suffering injury, especially later in the year, meaning his first month or 2 of football, you could trade him if you do draft him. So he's not a total avoid. Is he a Planet Uranus man list? Which is, if you're on Planet Uranus, you're not to be drafted. No, he's not. He's not a total avoid because there's time to trade him if you do draft him. And he could be so good in month 1, month 2. You will get people that say, you know what, I said I wasn't going to trade for him in Dynasty. I've got a chance to win. Bring him on over. Red Rover, Barkley, come on over. He's not a Uranus man list.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
That's Cook. That's Hill. That's Christian McCaffrey. So don't get it twisted. I believe Barkley has an amazing week 1. You come in here and go, Barkley looks washed, doesn't he, Smitty? I'm going to say, who you talking to? You said Barkley. I did not. We told you. We told you what was going to happen. We told you Barkley was probably going to ball for the first month or 2 of football. But this is not, in best ball specifically, something that you can change up and trade later. And in non-best ball, you've got to make sure you have a league where you can even make trades. Because if you take Barkley, then you might not be able to trade him. And then you're stuck with whatever result happens in the double-digit weeks if he does fold, because of the likelihood of getting injured at the end of the year or near double-digit weeks, near where that rookie wall is for rookies. It's similar for veterans that slowed down. They hit this wall. They drop off the face of the earth. Joe Mixon was amazing in his final last hurrah season. He was a top 1 to 5 running back for over 10 weeks of football. Joe Mixon was running back 1 or at least 2 for a majority of the fantasy football season, not half. Over 10 weeks, he was the number 1 running back, or at least number 2 running back, and then he fell off the face of the earth. So in similar fashion, if you draft Barkley, you must consider selling him. But the question I would then ask you is, if you're going to do that and plan for that and try and jump through hoops and time it all right, why not just draft Bijan? Why not just draft Jahmyr Gibbs? Why not draft CeeDee Lamb, JJ, Jamar Chase, or one of those guys? They're just a safer proposition. Doesn't mean Barkley can't ball out for 10 weeks. Understand what I'm saying? Because if you come in here saying something different, you're going to be sent on a lap. So Barkley, will he retire? Will he not retire? You can pretend you have the answer to that, but you don't. You can pretend that Tyreek Hill's decision to, I'm going to retire at 30 and not retire, means that Barkley won't. You can pretend that all you want. Barkley's definitely the type of personality that could easily walk away and not fret about it. He's very Megatron-like, very intelligent, calculated, more about himself. When he could have broke the record for his rushing record, his personal record, Sirianni sat down with him on the bench, and he was mic'd up, and he said, you want to go out there and just get another couple yards and break your record? He said, let the young boys eat. Let the young boys get carries. He didn't care about the record. This is a guy that could walk away if let's say they won a Super Bowl again, or let's say the team kind of started to fall apart. Something happened. That happens. Don't think that the Eagles can't fall apart losing their OC. It happens all the time. It happened to them specifically. So like there's a world where Barkley suffers one more major injury and he says, I'm not doing the rehab anymore. I'm done. That's what I think this comes from. I think with the momentum, he'll keep going as long as he can. But I think if he hits some sort of roadblock that he doesn't want to battle back from, he tears his ACL mid-season or at the end of the year, you think he's going to want to rehab, come back? Maybe he'll be remotivated. Maybe it'll make him respect and appreciate football and he comes back on a tear. But, at that age, who knows if he can be even effective. It's just a player better avoided if you can get the right player in replacement value, whether it be trade or just draft. Phone lines are open. Dial in. Rashee Rice, Keaton Mitchell, all the other players that we talked about, Barkley, whatever you want to talk about, dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Super chats will be handled in order in which they're received. Jonathan, thank you. Henry, appreciate you. Henry and Jonathan, you guys are still here, right? Appreciate you both. And let me activate the alerts in case anybody drops gifted memberships and we see those bad boys popping off. And again, everybody drop that Travis Hunter emoji if you see it. Henry says got offered Chase Brown for Tyler Warren, 10-team Superflex 0.5 tight end premium. Give me Chase Brown. I don't know your tight end situation. That will have some effect. You could drop that and maybe change my mind, just so you know, because you can give me that information. But I would say I'd rather have Chase Brown than Tyler Warren. I like Tyler Warren, but there are other players that I could see liking, near as much. Dynasty Superflex contending team. Trade away Puka, 1.11 and 2.11 for Jamar Chase. I would definitely do that in the Dynasty for sure. I know that's, the 1.11 could be a good player. Like, what if Harvey fell to that spot? Would I, in hindsight, regret telling you to do that? Yeah, but I can't predict that, nor do I expect your league to be, asleep at the wheel or in comas. But it does depend on who falls, but I want Jamar Chase. Puka's very injury prone. Don't love Puka's Dynasty value as much as I love his redraft value. I'll just tell you that. We got a live caller on the phone line here. Kevin, what is up? What can I do for you? You're live. Oh, hold on 1 second, Kevin. Let me put these other phone callers on here. Hang tight. Let me put you guys. I'm going to add a few of you to the phone line. If you guys could just mute, I'm going to go to Kevin first. So if everybody could just mute, but Kevin, you're live.
Yo, what's going on, Smitty?
What's up, Kevin?
Hey, man, I got a big Rashee Rice question because I have him in my Dynasty, and I was sending a trade offer.
Okay. Hit me with it.
So, just started this Dynasty, and it's tight end premium Superflex. I have Worthy on my team. The guy's asking for Rice and Stafford, and he's going to give me Tua, Tootin,
all right, hold on.
Kyle Williams.
Hold on. He wants Rice and Stafford in a Superflex Dynasty tight end premium. Rice and Stafford, and he's going to give you what?
He said Tua, Kyle Williams, and Tootin.
Okay, Tootin, Tua, Kyle Will, and who else? Tootin, Tua, Kyle Williams, and there was another one?
I could probably Merritt Krosky if I wanted to. I could probably get that out of him. I'm thinking.
JCM. So Tootin, Tua, K. Will, and JCM for Rice and Stafford in a super flex. Now, who are your two quarterbacks? Is Tua going to be a starter or Stafford? Whoever you.
Yeah. The Tua and Stafford would be my second quarterback.
I mean, to be honest, Tua's got more long-term value maybe than Stafford, but that could end with one hit. So it's tough to say which one of these guys. You could almost say they're a wash because of that. Would I rather have, Tua can also have those 40-plus yard or 40-point games. Stafford could this year with Adams on staff, but I don't know. I think we could almost just wash that. So really, it's Rice versus Williams, JCM, and Tootin. I can't get behind that. I'm gonna say Rice Rice side all the way.
Okay, that's what I was feeling because he's texting me about it. I'm like, I don't know. So yeah, okay.
You know what you could do, bro? You know what you could do, bro? Are you scared to let him know about the channel?
No.
Okay, send him. No. Well, you could do that, but send him a link. I don't mind that, but I don't want to ruin your trade. Send him a link. You can if you want. If you want to call up and work out a trade, we can do that. But send him a link to this video and say I'm not trading Rice. Send him a link to this video, and then he'll be like, "Damn it, man! This he's gonna probably." Hold on, let me merge Travis in. He's gonna probably rip on the channel because that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna, you're gonna listen to this guy. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But send him the link, and then it'll let him know that you're now valuing Rice higher, and so he'll come back with a better offer. But if you guys want me to mediate a trade, I'd be happy to do that. But
good, I appreciate it.
Yeah, who does he have? Just read off his team real quick, and I'll tell you what I would want. But I wouldn't trade Rice. Rice is on his way. And it's not fabricated.
Yeah, he's a beast.
That this video, if you link the video to him, that it should change your mind. This Rice is looking 100% right now. But give me his team real quick. Spit off the players.
Yeah, he's got May, Kamara, Montgomery, CeeDee Lamb, Neighbors, Hunter, Adams, Ayuk.
Okay, hold on. Lamb, Hunter, Neighbors. And you know what I hate about people like this? When you're making a trade and you say, well, I want Lamb, Hunter, and Neighbors, and they'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not trading any of those guys. It's like, so why do you get to ask for whatever you want? But there's other players off limits, you say. You know, because Hunter is so doubted and people are constantly worried about, you know, his volume, likely volume, I would see if you send him the link. Okay, this is the 2-step process, bro. You send him the link to the video. Okay, and you go, never mind, Rice is freaking healthy, looking great, look at this, and send him the link. And then he's gonna be like, okay, damn it, you know, he likes Rice for a reason, bro. He probably saw the news today, you know, he probably knows Rice is looking good and he wants to get a jump on it. So you send him the link and then act like you don't want to trade Rice. And then if he says, well, what you sure you don't want to do something, you could say, well, I'd take Hunter and something, but the something would have to be amazing. And that way you're setting the tone that you're not doing it straight up. You want something else. You're letting him know in advance that you view Hunter lower, and you could probably get some more. So what does RBs look like?
He's got a lot of young ones. So his old ones are Kamara and Montgomery. Then he's got, let me see, Wright, Garindo. Where's the other ones? Yeah, one sec. Sorry.
I don't even know if you can do it straight.
You don't think so?
I mean, he does. If those are his best running backs, you can't do a running back trade. What are his quarterbacks?
You got May and Lawrence.
Okay. What about tight ends? Tight end premium. So what does tight ends look like?
I got better tight ends than him. He has Ingram.
You know what you got to do. Unfortunately, bro. Let me merge this call 1 second. Hang tight. I want to put you on the show. Just mute yourself real quick. What I would probably do, bro, is you're gonna have to upgrade. I don't think Hunter's. I mean, you could go Hunter if you wanted. It's not crazy. Mute yourself if you could, real quick, my man. I'm gonna put you on the show here. Just mute yourself. You're not crazy to want Hunter over Rice. You wouldn't be, but I think you need to shoot higher. So what I would do is look to trade a future first rounder and Rice to go get Neighbors. If he's not going to do it, he's not going to do it. You know, trade something to upgrade into Neighbors or Lamb. If even if it is giving him Stafford for Tua, if that's what he wants to do on top of a first rounder. But it doesn't make any sense, bro, to make a trade with him when he's not going to give you Hunter. He's not going to give you Neighbors. He's not going to give you Lamb. Even if you try and sweeten your side of the deal, he's not going to trade. These guys are untradeable. Like, then there's nothing you can do. The trade offer he was giving you was gone.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, man.
I'll let him know.
Call back if you got another one.
Thank you, man.
Later.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me get 830. What's your name and where are you calling from? 830. You're on mute. Hello? Hello?
You're on mute, brah.
Out of here. Out of here. 770, you're live. What is your name, young man, and where are you calling from?
I assume that's me. Is there any other 770?
You're good. Bad. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's T again. It's from yesterday. How are you?
What's up, T? What can I do for you?
How are you, Smitty?
I'm good, bro.
So 2 different Dynasty leagues. I got one question first. It's a trade. It's Superflex. I'm a big fan of Michael Penix. I'm a Falcons fan.
Okay.
And I want to trade away. I'm trading away Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and Matthew Golden. I'm trying to get back Penix, Jackson Smith-Jigba, and a 2027 first.
Okay, so you're trying to get back Penix, JSN. So you want his children too? You want his firstborn or his secondborn? JSN.
Preferably his firstborn.
It was such a big. You were trying to rake him over the coals so much. I forgot it was a 27 first rounder.
Yeah, the 27 first.
Okay, so first of all, now Superflex, you're giving up 2 QBs. I get the allure there potentially in the Superflex, right? But who's your starting quarterback outside of Penix Jr.? If you make this trade, who's your other quarterback? Oh, man, I think the phone line cut out. Dial back in again, guys. My bad. Sometimes the phone line gets crazy when we have too many people on the phone line. We had like 7 people on and it dropped. So dial back in. But this is craziness. You know, this is hold on, 630 caller. Just put yourself on mute. I'll come back to you in a second, okay? All right. And so this is going to be a tough one. I mean, you're literally, if you ask for this right here, May, JJ, Golden for Penix Jr., JSN, this is still the better side. You know what I'm saying? Like that is still the much better side of the deal. And you're asking for a first rounder on top of it. The first rounder on top of it is just almost too much. But let's see if we got him on the phone. Do we still got T, are you on the phone line, T?
Yeah, Big T,
okay.
I'm right here, man.
Sorry. Okay. So like I was saying, even if we cover up this, bro, we cover up the 27 first rounder, this Penix JSN side is still better than the May, JJM, and Golden side. I mean, the super flex part, who's your other quarterback aside from Penix if you do this trade? Who's your QB1?
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. So, you know, you're I get it. You're giving up another quarterback that has some value involved. I get it. But this side's better. So I don't know how you're going to do this. I mean, you could throw in a second and see if he'll do it and then get back to me. But you're trying to rake him over the coals, you know, and I get it. I would.
Well, the thing is his quarterback situation's not that great either. I mean, he's got Geno and Penix. That's it. And so I'm trying to convince him to go young and give him 2 quarterbacks along with Geno.
I mean, you could try, bro. Even if you give him a couple seconds, like a 27 second, a 26 second, 28, whatever. Like the second rounders, I would throw around like candy to get a deal like this done. But this would be great for your team. And if you had to do this, would you do the no draft pick involved, just 2 for a 3 player swap? The May, JJ, McCarthy, Golden for Penix and JSN. I mean, isn't that something you could do?
Sorry, it kind of cut out there. Could you
repeat that? What if he wanted
don't involve the pick?
Well, yeah. What if he wanted to do it without the first rounder?
Like, as in, I don't ask for the first rounder back?
Yeah. You still don't like it? What does the chat think?
I don't know. Given the superflex aspect of it, it kind of makes me want to at least get a pick back.
Maybe
a second instead of a first.
Guys in the chat, please vote on this. What side, if we took this first rounder out, because this is lambasting him, if we took that out and the guy on the phone line, T, only got Penix Jr. and JSN, who's still taking that side of the trade? He's got JD5. Go ahead, Travis.
So at first, I would say I'd do it without the first, but then I guess you do have to look at it like Drake May and Penix, they could end up being very similar in terms of production for fantasy. So I guess it kind of hinges on that. How much do you value Penix over Drake May or JJ McCarthy's ceiling?
Right.
I
mean, consensus says Drake May is better, but I think Penix has elite upside, like prime Matt Stafford type of numbers. Like, I mean, that's what I'm expecting of him.
Hey,
I'm a Falcons fan. Like, I'm completely biased.
There are a couple people in the chat that have already said that, and there's a lot of people like the Penix JSN side more, but there are a lot of people that are saying if this first rounder was taken out, they would rather have the May, JJ McCarthy side. Now, remember, I'm not high on Golden, and some people are. So I think the difference between Golden and JSN for some people is not as big of a discrepancy as it is for me. So the fair market value does seem to account for you maybe getting this first rounder. Throw in a second rounder on your side if you have to. And if you have to, throw in another second rounder, but keep the first rounder in. I, Smitty, approve you trying to get this because it does seem like the consensus is very much liking Golden so much that I think maybe the 2 quarterbacks is trumping the JSN upgrade. So yeah, I guess try it.
To get that first too, if the guy already doesn't know, go and look up some, especially Vikings accounts, but I think even NFL.com has something. People are hyping J.J. McCarthy up like crazy today because he set OTA records for most touchdowns at OTA, so which means nothing.
Are you serious?
But
I saw a clip of JJ today. JJ literally scrambled out the pocket, and people are saying he made this crazy throw, but it's because it's obviously not live. Like, they're not going to sack their young quarterback that just got injured, but he would have gotten sacked in a real life game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't look at these touchdowns.
So use that hype.
But yeah,
I think, exactly. Yeah,
I think looking at I got to keep in check on my golden doubt because I'm looking at this from my perspective. Again, the chat I would say is a little bit more leaning toward if we took out second rounders, we took out the first rounder. The chat was leaning a little bit toward Penix JSN, but there were enough people saying this side of it, even with this the way it is right now without the first rounder involved, that you gotta include the first rounder. So I changed my mind on that. All right, go.
I could sweeten it a little bit for him. Hopefully,
right, I gotta roll. I gotta roll around the phone line. Appreciate you, bro.
Nope, no worries. I'll call in later. All right, appreciate it.
Let me go over to the 770 caller. What is your name? 770, and where are you calling from? You're on mute, bro.
No, I think T was a 770.
Oh. Okay, 630, you're live. What's your name?
Smitty.
Yo!
My man.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mike.
Mike.
I'm from Chicago, Illinois, buddy.
All right, Mike, what can I do for you, bro?
All right, let's go first round PPR. You got number 1 pick. Who are you going to pick?
First round in a startup, Dynasty, redraft?
It is in a redraft.
Chase.
First round, Chase. All right, then I'm going to go Bijan. Who you got?
I can't go through. I got a full phone line, bro. I can't mock draft with you right now.
All right, man.
What else you got, bro? Just ask me a question, or because
Hey, why you a hater, bro?
Why am I a hater? What do you mean?
You hate the Bears. You hate Chicago. You hate everything about it.
Well, don't you think that is it possible, bro, that I'm just telling you what I feel, and because you disagree, it feels like hate to you? Have you ever thought about maybe I was right to a T last year? Name something I was wrong on.
Well, that was last year, but what
do you mean? What do you mean? Last year was supposed to be the best setup season that a quarterback could have ever been handed. And I hold on. And what did I say? You're gonna have the head coach needs to get fired.
You're right.
Okay, I nailed everything, every single thing I called to a T with the Chicago Bears last year. But yet, instead of me being just right, I'm a hater. Like how about, hey, you called it all correct last year, Smitty. Maybe your take is correct, and maybe you're gonna be wrong this year. But why am I a hater?
Why are you still hating?
Why am I still hating? What about that I got it right? Why are you still not believing what I'm telling you?
Get it right this year, though.
But that's a Chicago Bear perspective, bro. I mean, I get what you're.
Mike from the chat, right? With the Caleb picture.
Bears are going to be fighting for the playoffs.
Okay.
They have the most ridiculous wide receiver core the NFL's ever seen.
Oh, give me a break, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Bro, stop it, bro. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself.
Our running game sucks.
Bro,
we got no running back.
Be more realistic than say you have the best wide receiver crew in the. What'd you say? Say it again. I can't.
Rome, DJ, and Luther.
No, what did you call it?
Can you get better than that? I don't think so. Top 3? 3 receivers like that? Nah.
No, nobody has that.
Name 3 receivers better than those 3.
I mean, bro, you can, like, can we say pass?
You got
catchers?
Philadelphia, AJ, and Smith.
Okay,
Two.
but what about pass
Cincinnati,
catchers?
Chase,
You
and
don't
Higgins,
even, but you don't even need to throw 3. You could say Higgins, Chase, and Yoshi Voss. Like, you need me to throw a third out there? Can I say Kelsey, Worthy, and Rashee Rice?
Well,
can I say
that a secret? Keep it a
what?
Secret.
Huh?
Keep all that a secret. We don't want to talk about all that.
I don't know, Mike. I'm gonna move on.
Cincinnati's gonna be.
I appreciate you, Mike, but call back if you got another one. Call back if you got a legit take. All right, later. Jeez. Oh, let me get Bruce in here. Let me answer Bruce. Let me merge Bruce in, but you know, I find it so funny. I find it so funny when and I'll go to Travis next. I find it so funny when someone thinks I'm a hater. When I call something to a T. Every single piece of what happened last year with the Chicago Bears, I called to a T. And yet it's hate. How about I just was right? How about I just called it like I saw it? And because people won't let go of the fact that it hurts their feelings because they're a Bear fan or they're a Caleb fan and they think it's going to go well or whatever their case may be, they look at it from, oh, if Smitty doesn't agree with me, it's hate. But history's on my side. Until I'm wrong on the Chicago Bears situation, until I'm wrong on that Poles is one of the worst GMs in football, until I'm wrong on all the other things that we called, how am I being a hater other than just cutting down to size a situation and quarterback that people keep propping up? And when announcers say, oh, this is where the magic happens, like Caleb gets at around the 5-yard line, and the announcer says, all right, let's see if you can cook up some of that Caleb magic. What magic? Caleb hasn't produced any magic. He's not a magician. He didn't go to magician school. He doesn't produce magic. He doesn't deserve to be talked about like that. So I tell you how I see it. It's not that I don't like the kid or I'm hating him. I want him to succeed. Everyone could succeed. You know what would be great is if everyone succeeded and I never had to talk about a negative take. It was all positive. Everybody was going to be great. The only question would be who's going to be greater than the person that's just great. I would love to talk like that. But the problem is people watch me to find out my opinion. And if I think people are overinflating something, I have to come in and say what I feel. And it's so weird to me that being right on everything regarding Caleb Williams last year, being right on everything about Caleb last year, doesn't get me any sort of credit or, hey, let's see if Smitty's right this time. I think he'll be wrong this time, but yes, you were right last time in regards to last year. No, it's just, Smitty, you're a Bears hater. Smitty, you're a Niner hater. Did I call Christian McCaffrey being one of the biggest avoids of all 2024? Yes. So how am I a hater? Maybe I'm just trying to tell you a story and you're not wanting to hear the story. Travis, you're live.
Yeah, and I mean, I get diehard fans, but I don't understand fan bases when they refuse to take constructive criticism or criticize where it's deserved. Because when you have just blind fan bases, that's what leads to teams potentially being bad forever. They never have to answer to a fan base. That's just it's one small symptom. But if you just no matter what, we're going to be great. And then next year you're sucking. Oh, no matter what, we're going to be great. It's like you're constantly getting let down and nothing ever changes. So I don't get it. Like when the Patriots suck.
Caleb is a mid quarterback. Caleb is a mid quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't survive in the NFL.
Otherwise.
It doesn't mean he can't survive in the NFL. Doesn't mean that Ben Johnson, you know who also is a mid quarterback? Goff. Goff is a mid NFL quarterback. You're about to see it, why I'm talking like that. For those of you that just are looking at Goff last year, the year prior, that's exactly my point. Ben Johnson is propping up Goff. He can prop up Caleb. So can Caleb live in a 7 to 12 QB fantasy football QB production environment 1 year out of every 2 or 3? Yeah, he could. Goff did too. Does anybody think Goff's going to be a top 6 quarterback ever again without Ben Johnson when he was laughable? Before Ben Johnson turned things around, he was laughable. He was traded out of LA, traded because he wasn't a good quarterback. Ben Johnson, kind of like Shanahan, made Jimmy Garoppolo look like a pretty good not a great quarterback, but a pretty good quarterback. Jimmy G was awful, but Shanahan knows how to disguise and mask a deficiency here and there. Goff is a mid quarterback. A mid quarterback. You're about to see why. You're about to see Goff turn back into a mid-quarterback. Not saying St. Brown goes down to the cellar dweller territory. I'm not saying J-Mo's trash, but everybody expecting a replication of the passing environment from last year to this year might be disappointed. I'm not saying it'll be horrible. I'm not saying the Lions won't even win the division. I think they can, and I even predicted them to still win the division because we have, let me see if I can pull up the division predictions that I had for the Lions. If I could find, I don't have a button for it, so I gotta go poking around.
Real quick, while you're doing that, like we talked about it potentially with the Jaguars too, and their two receivers. You don't have to have a top 5 QB to be able to support top 5 and top 10 wide receivers either, just because of the sheer numbers that quarterbacks put up.
Yeah. I did the North. Where is it? I don't see it. I feel like maybe did I somehow delete it? I have the AFC. Where's the NFC? I got the West, I think. I got the South. I got the East. Damn. I don't know where it went. I know did I not do it yet? Maybe I didn't do not do the North yet?
I don't think you did it yet. I don't think so.
Maybe I did. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't yet, but I know I've talked about it to an extreme degree. I believe the Lions will win the North. I think that they'll potentially crawl into it, though. I don't think they're going to blow away the division by any means. I think it's going to be one of those things where I could have swore I did it, but I guess it didn't. It could be one of those things where, the Vikings or the Packers give them a run for their money. I don't think the Bears will. I got to reorder these because people think that this is my ranking. I think sometimes it's not. The Bears are at the top. I think they win the division. To me, because I think the Packers are going to struggle more than people think, and the Vikings they're a good team, and I think McCarthy will play decent football. I just don't know he's going to be the volume monster for fantasy, but we'll see. So I think like the Lions and Vikings could be in a close race, and the Lions still win. But I think they're going to run the ball a hell of a lot more when they find out that they can't pass as efficiently without Ben Johnson. So Goff is going to turn into a pumpkin to a degree, I think. To a degree. He's still going to be startable. Maybe the Hendon Hooker conversation actually gets kicked into gear. Who knows? But Caleb Williams, and we like Hendon Hooker. We liked him as a rookie. He just had a torn ACL. I know Gump loves him. But Caleb Williams is a mid-quarterback. He's a mid-quarterback, and maybe Ben Johnson props him up like he did Goff, is my point. There's a possibility that Williams lingers in the league for a while. But I do anticipate him being on another team. You know how you look at like Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't moved, they extended him, but you see Zach Wilson's moved on, Mac Jones has moved on, and all these other quarterbacks have moved on, and they don't get their second contract with their team. Will AR5 be playing with another team? Those are examples of players that have failed, right? Baker Mayfield failed. He's playing for multiple teams, and Liam Cohen got his mitts on him and turned him back into a potential star. Like Baker plays like a star. Whether you don't want to admit he's a star or not, that's fine. But he's playing like one, and he really is one right now. Perception is reality. Baker's playing like a baller. So, there's thoughts that Baker could take a little step back too without Cohen, but maybe Baker's going to have a big enough command of that situation that it'll be fine. But will Caleb be coached up to linger in Chicago for a while, like get his second deal? Or is he going to be somewhere else like Wilson, like Mac Jones, like so many other quarterbacks that don't? I believe that is a failure. You're the number 1 overall pick and the team moves on from you. That is a failure. So that's when I say Caleb is mid and could fail, it would be to that degree. Now, are the Bears ridiculous enough to give him an extension when he doesn't even deserve it yet? This will be the year. Let's extend him. Let's get him his 4th year. They extend him before his 5th year option. And they're like, this is the 5th year breakout. It's going to happen. Ben Johnson's coaching another team. I don't know. All right.
If you get a chance, can you post a phone number, Smitty, Navage, and Frizzy, and someone else was looking to call in? If you have.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right, let me go over to 714. You're live. You're on mute. 714. Hello.
I think that might be me, Smitty.
What's up? What can I do for you?
Hey, I actually had a question. I got two possible trades today. One of them is Saquon Barkley. They want me to trade away Saquon Barkley to third for Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming a dynasty because no one's got a redraft team assembled yet. So Hendy and I'd take Hendy straight up for Barkley in a dynasty format. You get Kyle Williams as well. Will, absolute smash on that, bro. Like that's light work.
Okay, and then the other one is I'm gonna get Emeka Ibuka and I'm gonna trade away Josh Downs in a second.
Yes. I don't even want to waste my marker on that. Smash it.
Yep. That's what I thought. Okay. I had a feeling. I just wanted to confirm that.
Right. Yeah, mute yourself. If you got another one, I'll come back to you. Just mute yourself real quick. Let me get this caller in here. This is the let's see here. Who's this? This is 925. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Smitty, can you hear me?
Yeah, 925. Go ahead. You're live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, sir. My name is Crizzy, and I'm just calling from LA right now. And I had a question about my dynasty team. It's half PPR, and it's a double like super flex, or not super flex, but it's two flexes. I have. Here, let me pull up my team.
All right. While you pull that up, let me get this color on. Hold on one second. All right. Hang tight, my man. I'll come back to you in a second. Just mute yourself. Crizzy, go ahead. So it's a non-super flex. Go ahead. Hit me with it as fast as you can.
Non-super flex. I have Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jackson Dart, and then at running back I got Bijan, Kyron Williams, paired with Jarquez Hunter and what's his name? Blake Corum, and then I got Will Shipley, Jonathan Brooks, Rico Dowdle. And then at receiver, I got Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter, Cortland Sutton, Jalen McMillan, Pat Bryant. And then at tight end, I got George Kittle and David Njoku. And I was wondering if you had any suggestions for any moves. I just recently traded, because I needed a running back. My RB2 was one of my cuts. So I just traded Rashee Rice and Bo Nix to pick up Caleb Williams as a backup, and to get Kyron Williams with the cuffs I already had.
Okay, wait a minute. You started to say that, and I started to panic on what you did. Okay, you traded Rashee Rice and Bo Nix for Kyron Williams and Caleb. Is that right?
And Caleb Williams, correct. The Williams boys.
Rice and Bo Nix. I mean, that's a tough one.
And the reason why
and you needed an RB, I get it. And I like Kyron a lot. Mm-hmm. But, in Dynasty, you do wonder how many years he'll have left. Rice is going to give you a handful of years. But, and I love Bo Nix, bro. I like Bo Nix better than all these guys. So that's a tough.
Do you think that Drake May has potential to be as good as Bo Nix?
Potential, but I just have Nix higher. But May could get there.
Yeah.
But I don't hate. I don't hate that trade. I wish you would have traded Purdy or something that kept Nix. And I like Rashee Rice. What was the trade again? It was Nix and Kyron.
So
I'm sorry. Nix and Caleb. Nix and Caleb for. I'm sorry, Nix for Caleb and then Kyron for Rice. Right? That was pretty much it.
So it was. Basically, yeah. So I took basically a decrease at QB, getting him because I already believed in Drake May and Brock Purdy, so I didn't really need Bo Nix. And I was looking to get a strong RB2 to compete because I got second place last year, and I wanted to make an off-season move to kind of strengthen my team. But I didn't really know what to do, and a lot of my friends aren't as high on Rashee Rice, and they think Xavier Worthy's going to the moon.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they're worried about the injury. So it was a little bit hard for me, and Kyron was the best.
Yeah, I don't hate this trade for your team. You had JJ, Neighbors, Hunter. Your team is really good at wide receiver. Sutton's still very, very good. I guess I just would have rather kept Nix. But at the end of the day, you know, Rice for Kyron is definitely understandable. You know, so you got it all cuffed up.
So
but I would have kept Nix personally.
Last question, so I'll let you get. Okay, that makes sense. Last question I just had is, would you flip Kyron for another running back? Like, would you try to get JT plus something or Breece Hall plus something? Like, would you do – because one of my friends hit me up for Kyron for Breece Hall and Jaden Reed. Does that sound like a good trade? Or would you just ride out Kyron since I have the cut?
I'd rather go after a Hendy. I'd rather go after a little bit of a younger player that you could start over on and have the future value. But I mean, I like. There's pros and cons to these things. You know, I love Breece Hall. I actually do think Breece Hall is gonna have a remarkable bounce back season. But Kyron Williams, having cuffed, that offense is gonna move the ball this year. He's gonna average 5 yards per carry. Everyone thinks Kyron's not efficient. He just was running up against 8-man fronts as the entire wide receiver room was banged up all year. Kyron's going to ball. But Kyron also has a lot of mileage. Yeah. You know, so in a dynasty, you know, that's why Rice was a little bit more of a pause and stutter step on that, because Rice is going to give you 8 years, 10 years. Kyron might give you 2 more. Yeah. He's an RB. I would go for a different RB. Harvey's an interesting one just because he's 24 and people think that he's going to, pass away tomorrow. He's like 24. Yeah. He's on his last year. He's almost in assisted living, but he's got 6 years. So I definitely don't mind Harvey. I don't mind Hampton. I don't mind Hendy. I obviously love Genty. You're not going to get that done. And then I'd go after. Stretch. Yeah, I don't touch JJ, Neighbors, and Hunter though, bro. If you got to trade Kittle,
keep those 3.
Yeah, if you got to trade Kittle on the high, you could do that. All right, bro. Got to run. Call back if you got another one. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, no worries.
All right, later.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me go over to Bruce, who's been waiting a while, then to Travis, and then over to the 770 caller. Go ahead, Brucey. You're live.
Hey, Smitty. In your opinion, who's going to be harder to get rid of in Dynasty, Barkley or Henry?
Henry. I don't know. It's pretty close. Barkley or Henry. I mean, Henry's like on his lap. Like you can't do it any more than this one more year. Barkley could, but he's younger, so I think you're going to have a tougher time getting rid of Henry. They're both going to be very hard to get rid of, though. Very hard to get rid of. I was lucky. I worked really hard on it. I worked on it for 3 years. What was my trade again, Travis? It was Henry for...
I think it was Henry and a future first rounder for Bucky.
Yeah. So you have to upgrade. You can't just get rid of Henry for one player. You got to give up Henry and something to get that one player. So I got rid of Henry and a future first rounder on a team that's really good. That's going to be the 12 or 11 pick. And I got Bucky for Henry. And Bucky was doubted a lot more then than he is now. He wasn't a second rounder. He was a third rounder when I made that trade in the early offseason. So yeah, you got to get real crafty. Henry or Barkley to get Hall, and might even get something. Kyron might even get something. Bucky, he's doubted a little bit, less doubted now, but
because there's a lot of people like Matt in the chat. He says King Henry's built on another level. He's right, but how much longer is he built on another level? 1 year.
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for
but
him. He's another
that
level.
Attitude, that mindset will get you something good in a trade because there's still a lot of people that have that mindset.
Rockout says, check DM. Thank you, Rockout. Appreciate you. And Jerry says, Lamar Baker, PPR, Lamar Baker, Superflex, Super 12 team, is that tight end premium? Is Superflex, 12 team Superflex, standard 9. Standard 9? PPR, okay.
Oh, start 9.
Start 9?
Start
okay.
9.
You guys in your shorthand, I mean, Jeez, man.
Oh.
12 TST. Let's see how the computer would even read this. I want to see how a non-trained shorthand fantasy football mind would read this. Let's hear how it would come across. I'm just curious. Let me see if I can get this. Here it is. This is from Jerry. Jerry, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'm just curious. I'm going to run this through the machine.
Jerry Schetzel Super Chat $5 from Jerry Schetzel, 12 TSFST 9 PPR Lamar Baker Jan Kyron Mason RJ Scott Chase Jetta Hunter Devontae Jennings Will Andrews Warren traded Staff and Caleb for Devontae third SAP Roved.
Let's see here. So Lamar Baker, Bijan Kyron, RJ Harvey, like the RBs, bro. Lamar, love it. Superflex Baker's a great second quarterback. Team's fire. Chase Jetta. Come on, this is great. These are corpses. You're playing with corpses, bro. This is a nursing home. You walked in and you picked 11 freezers and you said, let's draft. And you're walking around in fairy tale land. These people aren't alive. Jamar Chase, JJ, Travis Hunter. How you getting Harvey and Hunter anyway after, this type of team? Devontae Smith, Jennings. Okay, so traded Stafford and Caleb for Devontae Smith the third. I mean, I don't know. Those are non-starters for you, bro. Like, that's trash. You trade trash for other trash. You can't use Devontae Smith. Like Stafford and Caleb Johnson for Devontae Smith. I don't know. I'm more concerned about how you got this team and who you screwed over and how many friends you got left. Jerry, yeah, that trade's fine. That trade's. I mean, you got good enough quarterback play. You could get rid of Stafford as he's older. Caleb, sharing situation. Devontae Smith, you like him. You need a receiver. I get it. That's fine. I mean, you don't even really need a receiver, I suppose. But yeah, I don't mind that. Your running backs are fire. I'm fine with that trade. The trade's pretty even though. It's like you raked them over the coals on the trade, but good God. I mean, your team, what is that, a mock draft? It's crazy. Go ahead, Bruce. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you for the super chats. Go ahead, Bruce.
Jeez. Oh, no, I just wanted to see who you thought was going to be harder after all the news with Barkley. And said it still was going to be King Henry.
They're both hard to trade. And you almost have to ride the wheels till they fall off, unless you do what I did. You give up a first rounder with Barkley to get somebody that's deemed to be lesser this year in Bucky. Bucky's not ranked higher than Barkley this year. That is a player you need to attack in a Barkley trade in Dynasty. Somebody that will, because how hard is it to go to somebody and say, give me Bucky for Barkley? They're going to say, no, Barkley might be on his last run. But if you go to someone and say, give me I'll give you Barkley, who's going to outscore your Bucky this year, and I'll give you a first rounder, it makes it a lot more tempting. You got to do something heavy in order to get it done.
Yeah, because me and Miss Roviston, we got in her one Barkley, we actually got stuck with Barkley in Dynasty, and now she's like, okay, now I want to get out of them, but I don't know how.
Yeah. All right, hold on, Bruce. Let me go over to the 770 caller, then back over to Travis. 770. Who is this again? This T? Or who is this?
Hey, Smitty, it's T.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the second trade, it's going to be a pretty big one. It's dependent on how I feel about my wide receiver core, but let me just lay it out. It's Brian Thomas. I'm giving away Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Jalen Warren, and Mark Andrews. And I'm trying to get back Genty, Trey McBride, KJ Brown, and Jordan Mason.
Genty, McBride, AJB, and Mason. All right. I mean, bro, how you gonna expect to do this? Like, Genty's the top player on the board. McBride's maybe, like, BT's definitely
premium, right?
Yeah, it's set in premium, right?
No, not set in premium.
Okay. So BTJ's more valuable than McBride, but McBride's close, really. I mean, McBride's a monster. So Genty, McBride, AJB, like, this is the problem. Like, AJB's just like way too much overkill here. I mean, you get this done, and we quit our jobs, we come work for you. Like, I don't know. You could try. I mean, what's the question?
The guy is.
Are you going to be?
The guy is.
Question: will this guy talk to you ever again after this trade? Probably not. So you got to decide if it's an important friendship.
The guy is a big Marvin Harrison fan. He's a Cardinals fan. So I'm trying to use. That's the thing about fantasy, man. You got to kind of sometimes use psychological things with like fandom. Sometimes, I mean, that's how I was with the Penix thing. I'm trying to get Penix. I'm a big fan of him.
Is he entertaining this, or are you just in a padded room cooking this up, and we have no idea that it's not on the table?
No, he was entertaining it. I mean, he wants to give me McBride, and he wants Marvin Harrison because he doesn't want both Cardinals receivers on his team. So
Okay, but he
likes Marvin Harrison.
But you haven't had the conversation about Genty and BTJ yet. I'm assuming that is like a new addition.
No, he wants. He's trying to give me Genty too, but he wants BTJ as well. So I'm like, this is me like trying to cook up a huge ass trade for this right now.
So maybe you're throwing in AJ Brown. He doesn't know it. What does he not know is coming? The AJ Brown edition?
He doesn't know about AJ Brown.
Okay.
He does. Yeah, he doesn't know about AJ Brown.
So let's just evaluate this real quick. BTJ, MHJ. I'm not saying Jalen Warren and Andrews don't have some value, but I almost could just ignore those guys and ignore Mason in a way. But Genty, McBride, BTJ, MHJ. I'd much rather have Genty McBride alone. I'm not saying there is an argument.
I think that's another one
made, but
that's another one where like a rounder could, if you have to throw in a second rounder to get it done, dude.
Yeah, I mean, AJB is a huge addition, bro. Like this right now, I would already, if I was him, I'd be like, I don't know, man. But like if he's gonna do that in AJB and you throw in, let's say, even 2 second rounders, even if you're renting AJB for 1 to 2 years, I don't think he lasts much longer than that, but that's still a long time if he does. Yeah, I mean, bro, you pull that off, add seconds if you can, see what he does. But if you have to do it without the second rounders and without AJB, I mean, I think the chat, you still like this deal, right? Chat, Genty, McBride, Mason for BTJ, MHJ, Warren, and Andrews. I assume the chat does. I'm assuming they still like this trade because I do.
The context of my team is that I have a very deep wide receiver core. I got Drake London, Rashee Rice, BTJ, Marv, Jaden Reed, like that. I mean, it's a pretty deep wide receiver. And then I drafted Tet McMillan too, so I got him on the way. And then, but the problem is my running back core is like not great. I have Bijan and Pacheco and no one else, but I just drafted Travion Henderson, so I got Travion Henderson on the way as well. But I only have 5 running backs, and I have like 10 wide receivers. So I want to like nail down my running backs, Genty and Bijan, and then I already have Drake London and Rashee Rice, and then Tyler Miller coming in. So I feel like I can afford.
All right, bro. Yeah, you can feel like you can afford to rip them off.
Wide receivers.
Why are you saying you feel like you can afford to rip them off? You're ripping them off. Like, of course you can afford to rip them off.
No, I'm not.
All right, T. Gotta go, bro. Appreciate you. All right, later.
Thank you, Smitty. Thank you.
Right, Travis, you're alive. And then back to Bruce. He's like giving this long old spiel about how, like, let me tell you why I can do this trade. You don't have to tell me why you can do this trade. The trade's advantageous to you. What is he running his mouth about? He's like, I can feel like I can afford to do this because I don't need the backstory. Backstory Bobby, T. Go ahead, Travis.
Yes. So in terms of Saquon and what he said today about retiring and stuff, for someone like me that when I'm in Dynasty, I don't look any further than like 2 or 3 years out, anyways, at the most. So for me, would you say like I have Barkley in just the one league, listener league, with you and a couple other guys. So in terms of that, like, it would just be a little tougher to trade him, right? Because I'm not really looking past a year or 2 of value for him as is.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tougher to trade him in a league that they listen to the show too. Because the moment I do a video like that, and I feel bad, like, I can't ever think of that, though, and I never do, just so people know. I never think about my own team. Like, I'm about to draft in this rookie draft, and I come out and I say, I want to change my rookie order. I don't worry about that at all. My little leagues, nothing means more than the channel, right? So I'm being completely honest whenever I say something, is sometimes the timing sucks because I want to make a trade, or I want to go and, like, especially if, like, let's say somebody gets injured. Let's say Rashee Rice was caught racing to week 1 in his vehicle and he got in an accident and he can't play and he's going to get suspended, and the league's like, enough's enough. I don't care if we're waiting or not. We're suspended. And Jalen Royals is out there. I have to go live on it. I'll try and do it on my phone maybe while we're talking, but I'm not even going to interrupt my intro and monologue. It's more important to me to get you guys the information, and I think you guys know that. That's why I can't play in that many leagues, because I'll literally not set lineups. I'll literally not pick up guys. My focus is the show. And so, as much as it pains me to say this because people are listening in that league probably, but yeah, you're going to have a tough time trading Barkley in a league of people that watch the show, because I'm coming out swinging on this topic. Yeah. But from your perspective, you're a little bit more of a conservative, you, like you said, you kind of play for the now. You're also more conservative trader. And so I don't anticipating you making a trade that someone outside of this channel environment would even be willing to give anyway. So I don't even think it really affects you. If I'm you, Travis, and I own Barkley in a league where my team is pretty good and your team is good enough, Barks stays on my roster till the wheels fall off. And I just start to rethink and reshape, try and, the fab idea I gave the other day would be beautiful for you, because that's how you could maybe hang on to Barkley, never let him go. You acquire someone's fab, and then you could drop a full load drop, $101 on a player. Our fab is $500, I think, in that league. I think $501 on somebody, and you get the replacement. You get the next Bucky, the next Puka. That might be the best approach for you to replace Barkley rather than trade Barkley. But you have a good enough team to build around Barkley and just do what I did in one league where I've got Henry, and I was able to find that player just naturally through waivers or through another trade. You'll be fine. But to trade him, you might be fighting for second place the next 2 years. To hold on to him, you might get a championship, win money, and then, yeah, he falls off. But it is what it is. Trading him is not advisable.
Yeah, well,
80% of people.
That's what I kind of figured is, like, in that league or any other league, really, in that type of situation, unless it's like part of a bigger deal where there's multiple pieces in there and things add up, it'd be almost impossible to trade him. I guess to kind of flip the script, though, if you were a team that could win now, like you had said, you would go and get him in certain leagues.
For sure.
What would you be willing to give up for him?
I would understand
how
that I'd have to give up a first rounder. But keep in mind that a team that is giving up a first rounder to win now is planning on being the 1.12. So if I'm a 1.12 projected, this is the 2.1 to me. If I'm a 2.1 draft capital owner, then to me it makes sense to trade what is technically speaking, I'm trading a 2.1 for Barkley. That makes sense to me, and I expect to pay that. I don't think everybody should try to give up multiple second rounders, give up 2 seconds, give up maybe they're struggling at quarterback, and you have the Bo Nix and JD5 situation, and you could trade Bo Nix and 2 seconds for Barkley, and they're struggling at QB. I mean, obviously I'd try and get creative. I wouldn't just offer up the top value right away. But giving up 1 first rounder when it's likely to be the 1. So let me just put the 1.12 for Barkley, I expect to pay that. And I think anybody that owns Barkley should expect to get that. Of course, you're going to try and get a higher pick, but this at least gets you into the conversation of you can then move the 1.12 up. You can do some sort of trade with somebody that's a worse team and they think their team's good, and you're going to trade draft picks with them. But I think, yeah, I would definitely acquire him if I was in win now mode. But I'm not paying more than that.
Real quick, what about like any players off the top of your head that you would give up, or like a package of 2 players, or you'd be willing to give up younger players to get them? You're going to win if you think you can win. Or...
An example of a player I would give up, like a Walker, who's got more longevity, but probably as much question marks to even be like maybe Walker's not actually playing longer starter. You don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a lock. So I'd go in that direction. I'd certainly consider trading, a Monty Mixon. Chuba Hubbard would be, somebody that I feel like I'd have to package something with it, because I think some people are worried about his long-term value, even though he just signed a new deal. I think if I had Josh Jacobs, I would, because I think he's not going to play longer than Barkley at the highest level that he's playing right now. So I'd rather have Barkley. And if someone thinks they're getting a value on that, I don't think they are. I would rather have. I mean, you get higher than that. You're talking about Chase Browns. I want Chase Brown. You're talking about Breece Halls. I want Breece Hall. You're talking about Harvey and Hendy and all those guys.
What about?
No.
What about something? I'm just spitballing, like something along the lines of like Charbonnet and a younger receiver, like whether it's a Charbonnet and.
Yeah. Hey,
Buka, would that be too
Charbonnet and Buka. I don't think that's gonna get it done. Real quickly, BBQ, are you still there? When your super chat or your gifted memberships were flying through, I mentioned it real quickly. I said BBQ, but I don't think you might not even heard me. BBQ, are you still there? BBQ dropped 50 gifted memberships in the chat, and we didn't really pause to celebrate that. So let me do that real quick. BBQ, this one's for you.
$50. Give me $50.
BBQ. Drop that BBQ emoji. Hopefully BBQ's still here. That felt very disrespectful to acknowledge that at this point. BBQ, hope you're still there, pal. Appreciate it.
The chat thanked him for sure.
Yeah, thank you, BBQ. You're the man. Go ahead, Travis. So you're telling me. I
was just gonna Charbonnet and somebody, like, would you give something like that up to get a Barkley or?
Yeah, I mean, like, so for example, I have Charbonnet do I have Charbonnet in the league? You have Barkley?
Yeah, actually you do.
Okay, so like, let's say I gave you Charbonnet. I think it's 500 fab, all 500 fab. And like, I mean, I don't know what else would you even, I don't think I have first round picks in this draft. So like, I don't know how to make this something that you want. Is that something, you throw in another receiver that you start thinking is a good swap? I mean, you tell me. Like, I don't know what the Barkley owner's going to see him as, what their feeling is, how much they like Charbonnet. I would rather have Barkley over Sharps in 500, if I'm being honest. How much would, and again, keep in mind that this, like, if this plan of attack, the $500 fab, which is the most that you get, added to your $500 fab, lands you the next Bucky Irving, you crushed on this trade. The thing is, did you land that? We can't see that right now, so it makes it hard to see. But that fab, there's almost a guaranteed Bucky, Puka, Achane player in the waiver wire pool walking out of week 1. Maybe it's week 2, maybe it's week 3. And the key is, if you have a $500 fab and you have your original $500 fab, you add somebody else's 500, you try and get another $2 somewhere, just so you have 2 shots of $501 that you can drop. So 500 times 501 times 2, you have 2 chances to get that Bucky, Puka, etc. But I mean, I don't know, like, chat, how much do you value the $500 fab, the total fab amount in Charbonnet versus Barkley in a dynasty? I'm just curious, who would rather have the Sharps 500? Who would rather have Barkley? And would who do I even have on that team? I'm not saying I'm trying to make a trade.
Even like, what about? Like, no, I know. We're just spitball, like McMillan, Sharps, McMillan, and 500 fab.
Okay, so Sharps.
What does the chat think of that?
Sharps, McMillan. This is Jalen McMillan. And 500 and all $500, so he would have $1,000 fab. What does everybody think on that versus Barkley in a dynasty?
Barkley, like you said, if you're playing to win, you probably want Barkley.
So
he's winning right now.
It's interesting though that Matt says Charbonnet side, Joe says Barkley side easy. Matt's talking Rachaad White. I don't know why Rachaad White's, even in the mix right now for anything. We'll send. I can't even find my lap button at the moment. So let's hear some more votes. Like, is this in the ballpark? Like, do people view Charbonnet? I mean, when we think about it from a redraft perspective, first of all, Charbonnet, Ziggy, how old is Zach Charbonnet?
Zach Charbonnet is 24 years old and was born January 8th, 2001.
So he's 24 years old, young guy, hasn't got his shot yet. Is there a world where he's a starting running back next year and has the potential to be a top 5 to 10 running back?
Yeah.
Barkley says, once said Barkley, I think it's worth more during the season when people need points. No doubt Barkley. So we're still not there. I don't know what else on that roster just to try and, cook something up. What we could even, what I could even do to make this look like a trade that.
What if, I guess people are kind of split, but what if you took out McMillan and you put in Debo? Does that change things, or do you think people are less likely to do that because he's older?
Well, I mean, but so is Barkley older. So let's ask if this changes anything. Yeah. Debo, Charbonnet, $500 fab. It looks better. I'll be honest. I mean, that's more of a. I could see that going down more. No doubt, Barkley. Silver says, "Come on, man." So, but I don't think that's on the Debo one. I think it's on the previous one. So Debo, Sharps, $500 fab, all 500. Looks better. Joe doesn't like it still. Anybody want the Sharps Debo side? It's tough to say. Like, even if you threw in, let's say, Bigsby.
Yeah.
Does anybody feel like, and I'm not saying I'd even, depend. I'm not even saying I'm trying to do this trade with Travis right now. This would be funny if we did it though. But if you threw Bigsby in, let me know what you guys think. Vote on this right now and say Bigsby side because Bigsby was just added, so I know that you're seeing the most recent trade offer. Sharps, Bigsby, Debo, 500 fab, or Barkley in a dynasty. And this is the weird thing is, like, I get some people will be very, very on the Barkley side because they're kind of thinking redraft, and there might be people who have been answering this question and don't play dynasty. So it's hard to really know, but Barkley's untradeable in dynasty. These are the kind of things you have to look at, or you're riding it out with Barkley, which you may or may not want to do depending on your team. So it's not like it's an easy question to answer. And a redraft person that doesn't play Dynasty, that wants to pretend they can think about it and from a Dynasty perspective, they don't play in Dynasty, but they're answering this question. They're in the chat answering the question. It's harder, to do. Walker's in a contract year. Exactly. So, there's a chance he even gets traded in the middle of the year, if not before week 1. Right. Probably the more likely running back to get. I mean, Charbonnet was the number 2 running back on the season. If you extrapolate his 5 started games last year across 17, Charbonnet was running back 2. When you look at that data, Charbonnet and Walker together, if you look at just their 17 starts together, not using them together, but individually, like you're just picking one each week and you only get 17 plays of the 2, they were running back 5. So it's a lot of speculation as to how this is going to play out. But Sharps also got hurt. Rashad, try 4 for 3. Keep AJ. Silver's way behind. I think Silver's saying keep AJ Brown. I think he might be way behind. Or somebody asked a question up above maybe. But can I get a vote on this? You guys aren't voting on this. Which side do you like in Dynasty? And if you don't know Dynasty, don't answer. But Sharps, Debo, 500 fab, and Bigsby or Barkley in pure Dynasty. And remember that 500 fab is the entire purse of money. So he'll have control of the market. He'll be able to get the next Bucky, the next Charbonnet.
I'll take the Bigsby side.
Okay. Let me see this caller. He's on the hold right now. We've got 720 on the line. 720. Do you like in Dynasty Barkley, or do you like Charbonnet, Bigsby, Debo, and all $500 fab? So that would give you 1,000 fab to control the market completely. What side do you like better in Dynasty?
I think it really depends on if you're like complete win now, and I mean, I would keep Barkley if I could win this year, but if not, I'll take the package.
Chili says take the package with Bigsby. Brian says Bigsby side because of youth. Barks, if I'm a contender, says the Bolt. Can the big side get a draft pick also? I don't think I even have draft picks. Yeah, I don't have draft picks at all. It's an interesting thing. Bigsby, DJ says the Bigsby side. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, you what?
You're going to get people like Joe C. who says, I don't think any of the pieces in the trade are compelling. You know, some people just won't like those pieces.
It's hard to say, bro. I mean, the thing is, will Barkley be compelling 1 year from today? Hard to know. I mean, McCaffrey, some people think McCaffrey's going to bounce back, but some people want nothing to do with McCaffrey. And McCaffrey was coming off a Barkley season, in 2024. But
like you mentioned about Sharps, and, combine that with what you just said, a year from today, I mean, Jesus, by week 8 of next year, Barkley could be hurt and not compelling. Sharps could be top of that.
Yeah.
So
this is tough.
Really is
hey,
so
here,
I'll
tell you what. I'll tell you what, Travis, just for the sake of fun, I'll do this deal right now and throw in McMillan if you do it live on the show.
I got a hold.
See, he's conservative, which is not. You got a what?
I got a hold of.
He's conservative, which is good. Everybody's got a different style, but that's why I was saying I know Travis. He's very, very careful with what he's doing. He's very meticulous about it. Takes his time, which is just a different trade style. But I throw McMillan, he still wouldn't do it. Hard to say, and that's Jalen McMillan. That's Jalen McMillan.
A lot.
McMillie. Jay McMillie.
But then I got to cut 4 guys too, so.
Yeah. I don't know who else I could even throw in. I mean, I have Cooper Kupp, I have Dallas Goedert. Everything else I couldn't. Who's your quarterback?
Yeah, all I have right now is Love and Darnold.
Ah, damn. Yeah, I don't know.
So that's kind of my focus right now. Is kind of I'm shopping around.
Curious. What does the chat think of Travis Hunter and something for Barkley? And if you believe that to be the case, what does the and something need to be? Because I have Travis Hunter, and I'm not saying I'm doing this. I might be like Travis and I say no to it, but what would the chat want? What would the chat want in conjunction with Travis Hunter in order to get this deal done? Let me go to Travis's team real quick and just give you a little backer. So yes, James Cook, Amon-Ra, Puka, Devontae Smith, Kittle, '26 first rounder.
Yeah, and that's my other issue is that right now, Barkley and Cook are my 2 best running backs. This is a team I took over. I didn't draft it, but took it over. It was a good team, won the championship with it. But it's starting to get old in some places.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a little thin.
Yeah, you kind of do need to, in a way, trade Barkley if you. I mean, you got good receivers though. That's the thing. Puka, Devontae Smith, and Amon-Ra is good, but Amon-Ra is not a spring. Yeah, he's still he's turning 26. He's still good. He's still good.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra, Puka, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith's the one that's 26. Okay, Devontae Smith, Kittle, Cook, Barkley, Darnold. Yeah, that is tough because you're in between. You're not necessarily like a favorite but you still got a lot of firepower. You know,
I got those younger receivers, but then I'm stuck with older guys. I got Saquon, George Kittle, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Diggs.
I don't even know if I see enough. I don't know if I see enough. Like for example, I'm just gonna get a feel for the audience. I'm not saying so. Devontae Smith and Hunter. I'm not even. Would that be enough to get? Would that be? I'm sorry, you got Devontae Smith, Hunter, and.
I mean, wouldn't Hunter and Barkley straight up be pretty fair in a
maybe
Dynasty league?
What if it was 2 for 2? Like because I don't know. I don't think I'd give you Hunter for Barkley. I wouldn't.
No, and I would understand that too.
So like let's say it was Hunter in something. I think I meant to write this down here and I wrote it up there. I don't know why. Let's say Barkley and Devontae Smith. First of all, I just want to gauge everyone's feeling here. Everybody would rather have Barkley and Devontae Smith over Hunter. So what additional piece that we've mentioned already would make this an even trade to everybody? Would it be the $500 in Fab? Would it be the Charbonnet? Let's do Sharbs. Does anybody feel like Sharbs and Hunter's better than Barkley, Devontae Smith, or Devontae Smith and Barkley is better than Hunter and Sharbs? Let's get that vote going. And again, this is Dynasty. Yeah, and this is Dynasty, so people need to understand if you're playing redraft and this looks odd to you, it's because you can't get rid of Barkley right now. This is a ride the train until the wheels fall off.
Good exercise.
I think Hunter ends up playing way more defense than offense. Well, that's because you're not watching this channel. I don't recognize your name. Matt says he loves Charbonnet. Love Barkley. He still got a lot of punishment. Rather have Barkley and Smith. Smitty is only like 26 to 27. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna need more. I'm gonna need more for Hunter, says DeBolt. So everyone's kind of all over the map here. I think Dynasty leaguers are gonna answer this question differently. I think we got a lot of redraft people in here that are probably speaking from you got to look from a Dynasty lens. It's completely different. I'm riding Hunter to the bank, says Rum. The risk of Hunter potentially being a DB. He's not. He's going to play DB. What are you talking about? He's drafted as a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver. This coach already said it. He's going to be a wide receiver. And he's going to play some DB. Like, I don't know what. I tell you this every day. You got to stay tuned into the channel, my boy. Joe, you got to be here more. You clearly missed the test. You didn't study.
It's a good point to make, though. If you haven't done your rookie draft yet,
or your
homework, guy who's on the clock when Hunter's there, and go and trade with the guy who's afraid to take Hunter.
Yeah, I can guarantee you no one's trading Hunter straight up in a dynasty for Barkley on average. You've got a lot of redraft minds at work here. We got guys like Joe who haven't done their homework. Joe? Let's see here. Imagine thinking the Jags traded to the number 2 pick to draft a cornerback. I don't know, Rum. I'm with you. I'm baffled by how many comments we get every time I do a Hunter show. And Hunter's going to play DB. Of course he's going to play DB. He wants to play both sides of the ball, but he's a wide receiver. DeBolt with a $10. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone just left the phone line. 720, you're live real quick. Hit me with your question as fast as you can. I'm up round 4.
So I'm in a bunch of dynasty leagues, but I've never done a keeper league. What's the difference in strategy between two? I mean, obviously.
Well, I mean,
don't worry about age as much, right?
Well, yeah, Dynasty League, like we're going over right now, this is mind-boggling to a redraft player right now. If a redraft person's watching right now, they're blown away that we're having a conversation about trading Barkley and they don't, they won't. It'll look different. It'll hit different. But Dynasty, anybody over the age of 27, 28, people won't trade for. Typically, you might have some leagues that do and some leagues that don't. But it's
But as far as like a start.
Well, think about it.
Startup.
Yeah. Well, in a startup draft, that's a good question though. In a startup draft, Barkley still might go in the second round, but as soon as the draft is over, panic sets in for anybody that's got him or trying to trade for him, and then all of a sudden, no one's giving up a Hunter straight up for Barkley. No one's giving up a Hendy or a one of the top 3 rookie running backs for Barkley. No one's giving up even like trying to think of a receiver like London's got more value than Barkley, but maybe not on inaugural draft day. But people are sometimes drafting with the mindset to win now, and that's why Barkley could go higher because you're in a controlled environment where you can draft Barkley to win now. But if you own him and your team's not winning now, you're in a different headspace. But Barkley is a top 5 player in redraft. And in keeper, he's still close to that because in keeper formats where you keep 1 or 2 guys, he doesn't have to be your 1 or 2 guy that you keep. And even if he is, you can keep him on a year-to-year basis and reload your pool of players that you get to select to be your 1 or 2 keepers. So having older players in keeper is not concerning because you always have 3 or 4 guys you can rotate through. Maybe you've got Charbonnet and Barkley on that team, and Charbonnet in 1 year from now, or at the end of the year, he's alone and they trade Walker, and then you're like, now all of a sudden I've got a starter for next year to keep. And you look at it that way. But yeah, Barkley's tough to. Yeah, this would be an interesting one, but I don't know. Let me go over to. You got anything else? 720. It's all good. Yeah, Dynasty. Try Dynasty League. You're probably going to get worked over the first time you try it. It's fun. Just draft a mix of youth and now players, but don't think too much into the future. You got to be able to try and look at it and say, I could win right now too. And then you're drafting an appropriate team. But there is too much focus on the future, and then there's not enough focus on the future. You got to do something in between.
Yeah, well, I'm in Dynasty leagues. I was just curious, like, if there was what the difference was as far as like a strategy and a startup keeper. I'm in like 10 or 11 Dynasty leagues, but
okay, I got you.
Know what
well, startup keeper is more redraft in a sense. Like I said, you're gonna not worry about Barkley because you're gonna get a player like Hunter later, and you're gonna get a player like Harvey or Hendy later, and those might be your 2 keepers. Then you're riding Barkley to the championship, and then you're letting him go. So you definitely could draft and think of Barkley at a higher value. All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Okay, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah. All right. Next caller is 925. 925. What can I do for you? What's your name again?
How's it going, Smitty? It's Crizzy again.
What's up, Crizzy?
I just wanted to call and touch base on my opinion on what you guys are saying. I feel like Travis Hunter's a no-brainer over Barkley. Even though you're going to get Barkley for 1 to 2 years, and like he just signed the extension, I mean, there's the big 371 that, he just went way well above that. What do you have, like 480 touches?
Yeah.
That's why I actually snagged on to Will Shipley, and I'm kind of nervous about A.J. Dillon if I should cuff him as well. But I just feel like there's a lot of panic, and people are still drafting him in like the 2-hole in redraft. And it's like you date back to the year before. Who was last year? CMC went down, was over 371 the year before that. It was like Jonathan Taylor. He went down the year before that. Austin Eckler went down. It's like all these running backs always end up getting a lot of injury risk the following year after so much work, and people still aren't taking it.
And then the Madden cover.
Like Jamar Chase is the easy one-on-one.
And then the Madden cover, bro. You got the Madden cover on top of it.
Yeah. Got the Madden cover. I mean, it's like the Browns just invested so much into Travis Hunter, got rid of, Christian Kirk, got rid of Gabe Davis, Evan Ingram's now on the Broncos. It's like, who are they passing to? Dynami Brown and, like BTJ can only do so much. They need Travis to step up. So I feel like he's really overlooked. And like you always mention in your show, like he's going to be a smash pick, especially in redrafts. Going in the 4th round, like I feel like he's going to be a baller. So
there is, bro.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on him.
All right, bro.
All right, and then I just had one more question. Yeah. Sorry. Just so I was gonna ask you. So I hear there's like a lot of slander on Mr. Kittle because he's old, but he did just sign a 4-year extension and finishes the tight end 2 last year. So how come he's still overlooked and everyone's all like Trey McBride, Brock Bowers? Like, I get they're younger and they're emerging, but why is Kittle like not earlier and he's still getting drafted in the 5th, 6th round with Ricky Pearsall now injured? Like, literally Brandon Ayuk's injured. Like, what is Juwan going to take all the targets? Like, I feel like he's kind of a sleeper value that you can kind of get, especially
from redraft. Yeah, from redraft, and he's still the 3rd tight end, off the board a lot of the time. So I think he's getting the respect, but he's not going to be Brock Bowers or McBride. Those guys are on a whole nother level. And Kittle, while I think Kittle can be the 3rd, he could hang with those guys in any given week. He does have a lot of injury risk that comes along with his style of play. He's very Puka Nacua-like with his body, just throws himself into the most crazy situations. And he's even said, I will not have as long a career as a lot of other tight ends at my level because of the way I go after every yard. He hangs himself up for an extra yard or two. Someone's hanging onto his leg and then he gets smashed. Like, Kittle comes with a lot of injury risk. But yeah, from a redraft perspective, he's 3. I think he gets that respect. But would I get rid of him in Dynasty? I don't care about an extension, bro. CMC just signed an extension. Yeah, that doesn't mean.
That's true. So what pivot would you make if you were? Would you like try to grab like someone younger, try to sell him for like an RB or like a wide receiver? Okay.
I mean, it depends. Do you have
to tier down?
It depends if you have a tight end that you could throw in and.
I have Njoku and then Arnold Fannin as well. So I have those 2 as my backup. So I was looking, and I have a lot of people that have been hitting me up for Kittle, and they're excited about the extension. And with Ricky Pearsall going down and Ayuk not coming back until minimum probably week 4, the same as Diggs. So
Hendy.
That's why I'm like, there's a lot of hype around it.
Hendy, Hampton, Harvey, Rice, guys like that. I'm all about beefing up the lineup and putting Njoku in there, I guess. In a dynasty sense. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. All right, thank you, Smitty.
All right, later, bro. All right, let me go. Let me wrap the phone line up. Bruce, final thoughts, my boy. And then I got a couple of super chats I got to get to.
It was a good show, and I had fun doing it, Smitty. And
thank you, Angus.
I'm going to do what you said and hang on to Barkley unless I get a good offer, and that offer is going to go into the trade calculator.
Attaboy. Appreciate you, Bruce.
Yep.
All right, later. All right, Travis, I did it to you. Do you have a take it or leave it offer on the live show, or are we? I doubt it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm waiting to receive my take it or leave it offer.
I'll hold off for now. I just went on to the website though, just to throw it into your trade calculator and look at it, and it's pretty much even when you do it for Dynasty.
Yeah.
Saquon and Devontae.
And the trade calculator, what they're both talking about is my trade calculator on thefantasyfootballshow.com. And when I got into the industry in 2002/2003, there was no trade calculator that I could find, and especially an instant-based trade calculator. So I went in and I did it myself, and I created it, and I've enhanced it over the years. And it's really kind of, you can't trick it because it goes off auction dollars, but you can dilute it down so much by adding enough players that it makes it hard to really, truly evaluate how you would spend those dollars. Maybe you wouldn't put them all into these players. And so it makes it a little bit hard to navigate. But yeah, I imagine it would be pretty close. I mean, Devontae Smith, he's still young, but he's not necessarily a spring chicken, but he's still young enough. I mean, when he's 27, 28, you start worrying a little bit. And so that makes dynasty owners, when you're at 26, 27, you start thinking about that. And Charbonnet, he literally is going to double or triple or quadruple in value or not. You don't know how that's going to play out. Barkley, if he gets injured like McCaffrey, he's worth very little walking into the next year. And if he explodes and has a great year all year, he's probably going to be a little bit, fearful player to go get the next year in fantasy football redraft, but at least he brought you that championship and then the shot of one more year. So it's hard to evaluate Barkley. Travis Hunter to me is the wild card. And while some people might have Travis Hunter as a gimmicky player that never, truly becomes that elite wide receiver. I just feel differently about it, and you guys know how I feel about Travis Hunter. I think that you're either on Team Travis Hunter, or you're not, and it's understandable that people aren't. It's understandable that people are. It's understandable that people are in between. The thing about Travis Hunter to me is I believe he can be as good as BTJ, and some might laugh at that. Some might laugh and say that's crazy, but you got to remember people laughed at that when you said that about BTJ. Like, oh, he's going to be better than Neighbors his rookie year. Yeah, right. He was number 4. Neighbors was number 6. So it did happen. And while I do believe that BTJ and Travis Hunter can rotate, I don't think one will be better than the other long term. I think they're both equals in a sense, and they'll rotate. It's like almost like a Chris Carter, Randy Moss situation when that changeover was happening. I'm not saying a changeover is happening because BTJ is just starting, but when they were crossing and near equals at one point, if anybody played fantasy football back then, Chris Carter was still a monster. He was still a wide receiver 1. Moss was a wide receiver 1. Carter, there was a time where they were both wide receiver 1s before Moss took over. And I just think that they'll live at that point together for a while. So 1 year, Hunter will outscore BTJ. Then BTJ will outscore Hunter. And I know you're thinking, well, then that means Trevor Lawrence is a top 5 quarterback. Not necessarily, because 12 TDs and 14 TDs doesn't equal 45 TDs. He doesn't have to be anything but a 30, 31, 32, 33 TD passer, Trevor Lawrence, which he totally could be in a Liam Cohen offense. Look at Baker. And could he throw for 40 if Trevor Lawrence gets fixed and he's the player that we all kind of in the industry thought he could be, and then he didn't, and now everybody's laughing at Trevor Lawrence. But we all once thought he could be a top 6 quarterback. Like industry-wide, he was one of the most hyped and solid QB prospects to come out of college in a long time. So Cohen could fix him. But even if he isn't top 5, he's top 7, 8, 9, 10, he can produce a 12 or 13 touchdown Hunter, especially if Hunter gets 2 or 3 of them on the ground. Liam Cohen's you may say Hunter didn't get used like that at Colorado. Well, who cares? Hunter could be used in a sort of wide back role that's very friendly to him not getting hurt, not any of the up the gut work. That is more running back. When Debo played running back, people confused it with wide back. They thought, because Debo transitioned to the only healthy running back for the Niners during a grip of games during that 2021 season, and he was running back, everyone just thought that meant that was wide back. That wasn't. That was RB. He was an RB for the Niners for a string of games because they had everyone injured. When he was a wide back, that means he was playing wide receiver, stepping back behind the line of scrimmage, and Jimmy Garoppolo would beg him to take the ball so that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have to deal with it. And Debo would take a catch that was 1 yard behind or a foot behind Jimmy that would be counted as a run, and he'd literally take his yak yardage down the field. And so Hunter's going to get jet sweeps, end arounds, things that will be very, very solid for him not to get injured or banged up. They're not going to add up on him. He could have 2 rushing touchdowns, 10 receiving touchdowns, 12 total. BTJ could have 13 or 14 scores, and Trevor Lawrence is just QB number 9. So Hunter, you can rip on him all you want. You can act like he doesn't have top 12 wide receiver upside. I don't care. I'm not here to convince people that are stubborn and refuse to listen to reason. You can say that BTJ's never going to relinquish the number 1 role there. Why can't they both be as good as one another? Why? Who says they can't? Just because Hunter might be as good as BTJ doesn't mean BTJ's any lesser than he was before I made that statement. I don't understand why one has to be worse than the other. Why can't this team, Liam Cohen, the Jaguars, be so smart that they drafted 2 BTJ talents? Why? BTJ and Hunter are probably one of, if not the most talented wide receiver crew in the entire National Football League. These are 2 ones. Higgins is a wide receiver 2, a very good one, and Chase is the number 1 overall wide receiver. BTJ and Travis Hunter are both NFL wide receiver 1s. And of course, I think they're both fantasy wide receiver 1s. You can take it or leave it. I don't care. Travis, real quickly, let me answer these 2 questions real quickly, and then give you your final thought. $10. DeBalt, you still there?
Arthur wanted to make sure you saw his too.
Yeah, Arthur, sorry about the wait, Arthur. Arthur, I got it right here. I'm going to answer super chats in order in which they're received immediately going forward. I'm sorry about the rant. Angus says, hey, Smitty, it's Angus. Thank you, Angus. DeBalt with his $10. DeBalt, you're still there, right? You're always there. I'm up round 4, pick, super flex, tight end premium, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 4 flex. Available is Kyron, Hunter, Hendy, JT, Chase Brown. Available Kyron, Hunter, Hendy, JT, Chase Brown. Man.
Wonder who he has already.
Yeah, that could influence it a little bit. I would say that on the topic of Hunter, him and Hendy are very attractive here. Of course, I love Chase Brown. Kyron's phenomenal, but there's some risk that he has 2.5 years left at the workload that he's been getting. I'd almost say Hunter is the safest long-term move for you. Hendy is something in between. If you needed RBs badly and you felt like Hunter could fall one more round, I would rather grab Hendy and get Hunter later. JT, I don't want. Injury risk. Chase Brown, I love, but maybe one more round later, if possible. Kyron, one more round later. But between Hendy and Travis Hunter, depending on team need, DeBalt. So let me know what your situation looks like, and I'll try and reattack that real quickly for you. Arthur, appreciate your $5 hauler. Smitty, how high were you on Ruggs as a rookie? I know it doesn't really matter today, but you said car crash hypothetical on Rice. I was very much against Ruggs. Very much. I did not like Ruggs at all because Ruggs emerged with the 40 time. And when Ruggs was overlooked, rightfully so, before he ran his 40 put him on the map. And while that happened to Xavier Worthy as well, and that was a success story of 40-yard dash time increasing value and it working out. That was the one time it really has worked out in recent memory. But I remember watching film again on Rashee Rice and saying, you know what? And we said this on the show. I think maybe the 40-yard dash was a reminder to watch more film on him, and it was a good thing that happened. Whereas normally it doesn't go that route because I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And with Worthy, I feel like there's a lot of upside there, a lot of and especially when you talk about the fit with the KC Chiefs and the fact that they could use them in ways that other teams wouldn't. It put a different valuation on that, and the 40 time, definitely helped us, I think, as an industry and as a fantasy football population, say, let's give another look. Actually, you know what? Some of this film's really good, and the situation's absolutely great. Ruggs, I did not like. His 40 time
went first over all those good wide receivers.
Yeah, it didn't change anything for me. I was not high on Ruggs at all. It's a good question, but don't let 40 time influence anything. That's why I don't like Matthew Golden. I didn't like Matthew Golden before the 40. Why am I going to like him just because he's fast? That doesn't change anything. I have Gibbs and Bucky want Harvey, but he wants Monty and Gibbs and Cup for Harvey and Ladd. No. Not trading Gibbs and Monty and Cup for Harvey and Ladd. Harvey needs to be bought at the right price tag. I like Ladd a lot. I like Harvey a lot, but Gibbs is a top 4 or 5 overall pick. Neither Harvey or Ladd are first round capable players in fantasy. You could say Ladd is, a lot of people believe he's second round material, especially in Dynasty, and Harvey probably third. I think it's arguable value-wise, you could say, but I'm not going to do it. I'd rather go about getting that other wide receiver some other way than doing it this way. Gibbs to me is untouchable. And I think they run a lot more this year. Thank you for those super chats. DeBalt says, I have Hunter got taken. Oh, that sucks. Laporta, no wide receiver. Hunter would have been good. And running back, but Hunter or Hendy. I'd go Hendy then. I think Hendy's going to be amazing. Travis, do you agree? Hunter, Hendy, Kyron, Chase Brown, and Hunter's gone now. Yeah. Hendy?
I like Hendy.
Yeah, Hendy. All right, boys. I'm out of here. Anything else, Travis?
Nope, I'm good. Rocco said Smitty DM.
Yeah. Where's my phone? All right, here we go. Rock out. Rock out probably dropped some sick Travis Hunter beat, I'm going to guess. Let's see. Rock out. Here we go. Then, right.
Stop. We so nice. Take it to the top. Take it to the man.
Touchdowns. Loads.
Different area goes. That's how we got to go.
Love it. Let me hear that top part again.
Give me that right. No, we won't
Stop.
We so
nice. Love it. Rock out to the moon. David dropping I believe it's a $20 hauler conversion. Appreciate you, my boy. By the way, you were the best last season. I bet KC and Eagles Super Bowl and Eagles to win it all because I heard it live from you. Ended up winning $2,100. I love to hear it. Bro. Doing it live. Your boy. I am 2 for 2 on this. I am 2 for 2 in the last 2 years of before the season kicks off. You know, like during the playoff bracket, I ended up changing my mind and getting that wrong of how it was going to go down. But I'm 2 for 2 on locking in my Super Bowl show teams that are showing. And then I just tell you to hedge by predicting the exact show and the winner. So if you bet $20 on, let's call it this year, my rough take, I'm not locking it in yet. But let's say, let's see here. Let me see if I'm going to even change my mind on site here. Let's see here. Let's call this Commanders versus, it's either going to be the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Broncos are like my dark horse. Like I might swing it at the end and just go Broncos, but we'll see. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. Okay, let's just say it's the Bengals. Let's say the Bengals defense, they fix everything, they get everything tightened up, that signed everything's good. They figure it all out really quickly. If you say Bengals versus the Commanders and the Commanders win $20, that'll pay roughly, I believe it's like $1,400, roughly. And then you just hedge it. You do $20 on the same matchup, but then the Bengals winning. And then all you needed to do is be the correct Super Bowl, and then you lose $20 automatically, but you're getting for it, and you sleep like a baby. You don't have to like hold your breath. So just hedge it, So, and if you want to do $5 or $1, you do that as well. But I'm 2 for 2. I predicted the KC Niners situation, and I hedged it. So either team won, I won, and then I did it last year. And so I'm sure that David's going to want to know who I'm picking this year. My early favorite is going to be Commanders. Probably Commanders Chiefs, but I'm wanting to do Commanders Bengals. And then we'll hedge it on both sides for both to win. But hopefully we're 3 for 3. I'm pretty good at this. I used to do this in Vegas a lot when I'd actually go there every year, and I'd predict the Super Bowl winner. And I'd usually grab 4 or 5 teams that weren't likely to win. And there was a string of years where the winner was always not projected to be even in the top 5 or 6 likelihood. So I would scoop up about 5 or 6 of the most likely, in my mind, to be, but outside the top 5 or 7 projected Super Bowl winning teams. All right, so thank you, David. Appreciate you dropping the 20.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Is BBQ here? I don't think BBQ saw my thank you, and I feel bad about that. I know BBQ won't care. BBQ knows I was rolling through some stuff, but thank you, David. Thank you, BBQ. Thank you, David again. Angus, Arthur, DeBalt, Rockout, Jerry, Henry Still, and Jonathan for the super chats. Thank you, BBQ, for the 50 gifted memberships. Anything else, Travis, before I let you jump?
Nope. I'm all set. Talk to you later. Thanks.
I may or may not be back tonight. Probably not tonight. I think I'm going to take the evening off. But don't sleep on the idea that I might come back. You never know. Appreciate all my super chatters. I'll see you all maybe tonight, but probably more likely a couple shows tomorrow. At least one show I'm going to try and do a Dynasty video and a live stream. And remember, all the Dynasty content is on this channel now. So everything's on this channel. The Dynasty channel I converted to Fantasy Football Unplugged, so don't unsubscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, in the description of the video, you'll see the link to Fantasy Football Unplugged. It's going to be my behind-the-scenes channel. Episode 1's dropping soon. But I'm going to probably upload a Dynasty video tomorrow to this channel, the main channel. I'm going to upload a Dynasty video. I'm going to do a live stream of some sort, whether it's a breaking news live stream, and then we're going to come back for the 8 p.m. show, and then we're going to come back for the midnight show. So possibly 4 total videos tomorrow. I will see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you, especially BBQ, if BBQ's out there. Thanks again for that 50 gifted memberships, my boy. Thank you. Thank you, David, for the $20 hauler, and congrats on winning that money. We're gonna try and get you there again this year, okay? David, what do you think of the early picks? Do you like the Commanders versus either the Chiefs, Bengals, or what did I say? Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, maybe the Broncos? Maybe. Get on over to the Patreon. I'll drop that link right now in the chat and then pin it real quick. We'll be live on the Patreon. Travis is usually in there. I'm usually in there right after shows. And we'll do live streams in there this year too. Video live streams. So, especially during Sunday games. Here's the Patreon link. I'm going to pin it right now in the live chat. See you all tomorrow. At least 3 shows, probably 4 tomorrow. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live additionally live, whenever news breaks. Additionally live, most midnights Eastern. And additionally live, just for Dynasty uploads and other uploads throughout. Or I guess sometimes they're live because we'll do a premiere. But there is the Patreon link. It's pinned. I'll be in the Patreon right now. Actually, I'm going to type right now, what is up, good people? What is up, good people? Any post-show 8 p.m. Eastern convos. Boom. Post it on the Dynasty or on the Patreon. I'll be over there chatting with you. Thank you, DeBolt, Travis, Blackbeard, Sick Nasty, Space Ricky, Kenny Powers, Vampy, Terry Roberts. Who am I forgetting? Space Ricky, Blackbeard, Sick Nasty, Travis, DeBolt, Vampy, all my mods. Appreciate you all. See you all on the Patreon right now. Deuces. Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice. Later, Bruce. Later, Vice. Later, Michael. Later, Hood Pro, appreciate you. Later, Temporary. Later, Hybrid. Dia, Joe, C. Rock out. Rum. Later, Rum. Terry R says Gibbs, Barkley, or Bijan's second round pick. Gibbs, Barkley, bro. Not close. And then I flip Barkley if I can. All right. I'm out of here. Later.